on my neck, got Patron in my cup. If you wanna come and get it, shout it out. See, it's Friday night, and I just got paid. She had a hard week, now it's time to celebrate. DJ play my music, girl for the freaking planet, all up on my soul tonight. Try to leave with something right. I'm a grown man, so show me you can spend the night.
Раз. Да, Денис, я слышу. I can hear you, Денис. Check. And please make it louder, my mic. Microphone number 1, please. Make it louder. Делайте громче звук. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is better. Thank you.
Test. 1, 2, 3, 4. Test. Okay, thank you.
A little bit of disregard, handful of complaints, but I can't help the fact that everyone can see me scarred. So I want you to do what I want you to do. It's like no matter what I can't have it's you. Just believe this is real.
And enjoy. In a few minutes, we will start the event. Дамы и господа, пожалуйста, занимайте свои места в зрительном зале. Буквально через несколько минут мы начинаем.
Another one of those block rockin' beats.
She's back. Tell her friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
You know the West Coast is back, bro.
Well, look what the stork brung. Little baby devil with the forked tongue. And it's sticking out, yeah, like a sore thumb. With a forehead that it grew horns from. Still a white shirt. Pulling up in a Chrysler to the cipher with the funk spokes and a Bud Light shirt. Lyrical technician, an electrician. Y'all light work. And I don't gotta play pretend. It's you, I make believe. And you know I'm here to stay, cause me, if I was to ever take a leave, it would be aspirin to break your feet. If I was to ask for Megan D Stallion, if she would collab with me, would I really have a shot at a feat? I don't know, but I'm glad to be back like
Abracadabra. I'm about to reach in my back, like abracadabra. Just like that, and I'm back, bro.
Now back in the days I owed me, right around the time I became a dope fiend. Ate some cocaine as a way of coping. Taste the vote, get case of vote, turned me into smiley face emoji. My suit may not be age appropriate, but I will hit an 8-year-old in deep face with a participation trophy.
I have zero doubts that this whole world's about to turn into some Girl Scouts and censorship girls out.
So when I started this verse, it did start off lighthearted at first, but it feels like I'm targeted. Mind-boggling how my profit is skyrocketed. Look what I pocketed. Yeah, the shit is just like y'all have been, like jogging in. I've been running at full speed, and that's why I'm ahead like my noggin. I'm the fight y'all get in. When you debate who the best, but outside white chalk and win. I step up to that mic cock it then. Oh my God, attention, not again.
Abracadabra. I'm about to reach in my back, like abracadabra. Just like that, and I'm back, bro.
Break it down. If I'm elastic. If I'm elastic. If I'm elastic. If I'm elastic.
New truck, big lift, old roads. We've been tearing up since way back when. These wheels are innocent. New hits, new seats, no hit story. And you just can't fake that, so let's change that. Girl, let's go put some miles on the back of the Chevy with the engine running. Just you and me in a truck that wild like a California king. We could break it in if you know what I mean. Put some miles on the back of the world, yeah. Been around the world, been around the world, been around the world, yeah. I think I see where we're going with this one. Been around the world, yeah. Been around the world, been around the world, been around the world, yeah. I think I see where we're going with this one.
Bounce to the beat, people hands up. Everybody in the place stand up. Bounce to the beat, people hands up. Everybody in the place stand up. Bounce to the beat, people hands up. Everybody in the place stand up. Bounce to the beat, people hands up. Everybody in the place stand up.
Make that party bounce, bounce, bounce. Been around the world, yeah. Make that party bounce, bounce, bounce. Been around the world, been around the world. Make that party bounce, bounce, bounce. Been around the world, yeah. Make that party bounce, bounce, bounce. Been around the world, been around the world.
Everybody here ain't from here, but we're here doing our thing. Letting go a little, little by little, sipping on frozen drink. Tiki bars taking, pouring on weekend clouds, ain't making no rain. Two pieces shaking, white caps breaking, me ain't feeling no pain. It goes like one margarita, two margarita, three margarita shot. Don't worry about tomorrow, leave all your sorrow out here on the floating dock. When that sun lays down, we'll be on our way. One more barefoot round, one more last chance to say, hey, senorita, don't you think we need a soft and perfect song? One margarita, two margarita, three margarita, we'll be gone. We'll be gone. We'll be gone. We'll be gone.
nothing to it for you. Yes, I'm on a coffee brewed for you. Yes, I'm touching my brand new for you. Thinking about me, all night long. So that's me, I get so. So you can see, baby, I know. That means my soul. Pull it up down after the rules. So you like Nintendo. So you can see, baby, I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Rixos Ternase Istanbul Arena, where Soyuz Promotion and IBA.PRO, with the support of the International Boxing Association, as part of the world event, the golden era of boxing, presents the Bat City IBA.PRO Champions Night, with the main event of the evening, Batyrgaziev versus Dickens. Ladies and gentlemen, and before the first bout, let me introduce to you your officials. IBA President Omar Kremlov, Russia. Promoter and CEO, IBA.PRO from Great Britain, Al Siesta. Supervisor, IBA.PRO, Maxim Chertyhovtsev, Russia. Supervisor, WBA from Spain, Carlos Chavez. Supervisor, IBA.PRO bare knuckle, Dmitry Antonov, Russia. Let me introduce to you your referee and judges. Sergei Shurkin, Russia. Alisher Altayev, Kazakhstan. Valery Pastukhov, Moldova. Maria Petkovic, Serbia. Nabil Erensoy, Turkey. Bare knuckle fights. Stefano Valenti, Italy. Serge Radermacher, Belgium. Radislav Petrov, Bulgaria. Mario Ivanov, Bulgaria. Sergei Lidunov, Russia. Timekeeper, Serdar Hamraev, Turkmenistan. Your doctor, Victoria Gameeva. Ladies and gentlemen, referees and judges of the main event. Gustavo Padilla, Panama. Octavio Rodriguez, also Panama. Stefan Nicola, France. And Luigi Bascarelli, Italy.
And ladies and gentlemen, your IBA Golden Era, IBA Pro 7 ring announcer extraordinary, Alexander.
Isn't it Lenny Hart? I can't believe it, ladies and gentlemen. We worked together many, many years ago. Lenny, I'm happy to see you here in Istanbul.
I'm very happy to be here in Istanbul with you, my friend. It's been about a decade, 10 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you. My great pleasure, the amazing and unique voice of martial arts of the world from Japan, Mrs. Lenny Hart.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the officials are ready. And the boxers are ready. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, are you ready? Boxing fans around the world, are you ready? From Rixos Ternase, Istanbul Arena, we are ready to start. 3, 2, 1, here we go! Lenny?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the first match of the evening. This is a rating 6R, heavyweight bout match, 6 rounds. And I will introduce first, in the black corner, Madyar Sadrakhimov.
You ready? Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. He doesn't need his name up in lights, he just wants to be heard, whether it's the beat of the mic. He feels so unlike everybody else, alone, in spite of the fact that some people still think that they know, but no, he knows the code. It's not about the salary, it's all about reality and making some noise, making a story.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the gold corner from Azerbaijan, Ahmad Tank Mustafayev.
They were very keen for the IBA to find a slot for him on this card. But it's a tough fight. It's a tough fight for him to take the top. Always looking to get them at the heavyweight. And it's a nice, tight, compact arena, this one. It's very good weather in Istanbul at the moment. Nice warm day today. Pulling off on the banks of the Bosphorus by the Golden Horn, which is where this immaculate venue is situated. And that's the tail of the tape. You can see quite a significant height difference between the two of them. They track him on tall and lean. You look at Mustafayev
And now, in the black corner, 27 years old, 190 centimeters, a 1-0 record, 2021 World Championship bronze medalist from Uzbekistan, Madyar Sadrakhimov!
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing his opponent fighting out of the gold corner. He's 32 years old, standing 176 centimeters tall, weighing in 85.3 kilograms. Tonight, his professional debut. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Baku, Azerbaijan, here is Ahmad Tank Mustafayev. Ladies and gentlemen, this bout sanctioned by Turkish Professional Boxing Federation. Your referee judge, Nedil Erensoy.
So the referee will now call these two to the centre of the ring. It's an interesting encounter, this, because Mustafayev, as I say, is heavily backed. He's rated, but this is a very difficult fight to take. First up, Sadrakhimov, with that amateur pedigree, a gold at the World Military Games as well, a bronze at the World Championships, a silver at the Asian Championships for Uzbekistan. Lost his place in the team, actually, to Lazizbek Mulajonov, who then went on to do extremely well at the Olympic Games. So they're scheduled for 6. So Mustafayev in the white and Seydrakhimov in the black. Now, physically, Spence, there is a big difference between the pair of them. Seydrakhimov quite tall, quite long, quite lean. Mustafayev is stacked around the shoulders. There's plenty of muscle there.
Yeah, Seydrakhimov has that height, has that reach. He's got to use that to his advantage here, because Mustafayev is heavy-handed. You saw that with that lead left hook that he had there. Is a dangerous shot.
Seydrakhimov just trying to take the centre of the ring early on and bring that reach into play if he can. I saw him in Havana last August, where he was in with Julio La Cruz over 10 rounds. Good left hand there from Seydrakhimov, and the referee is going to count because the ropes kept Mustafayev up there. Lead left, and he just caught cold by it.
Yep, he was hurt by that shot. He was definitely hurt by that shot. You saw the legs just buckle a little bit there, and Mustafayev has to be very careful here, because Seydrakhimov is one of those guys that is heavy-handed. Good shot selection.
Just looking to get back onto the jab there, Seydrakhimov. He won't get too carried away with that. We're not even at the halfway point of round 1, but you can see those knees buckle, those legs dip. He went into the ropes, and it was the right call by the referee, because if the ropes hadn't been there, then he definitely would have gone down. I mentioned that fight against La Cruz that Seydrakhimov had. He went the 10 rounds. He didn't get too much joy. Laying gloves on La Cruz is a difficult thing to do. He was boxing in front of a home crowd in Havana. It was a terrific night. But then more recently, I saw him on the Sergey Kovalev Artur Man card when he was boxing out of the away corner again, like he is tonight, like he was in Havana, and he stopped Andrei Stotsky in the 6th and final round with that one absolutely in the balance. It was a really, really good fight. Mustafayev just trying to get that left hand away himself.
He's got to be careful here, though, Mustafayev, because he's reckless in his approach. He's coming in, got caught with the right hand again there. He was hurt there, but he's not closing that space enough. He's trying to close the gap with his hands here. He needs to move his feet in range. He also needs to move off the line here, because he's leaving himself wide open, and Seydrakhimov is making him pay for that.
He led off with that left hook, didn't he? He was well short with it. He jumped in from distance, and Seydrakhimov then just pinged him with a right hand, and you could see just a little bit of give in those legs again. A chopping right hand there from Seydrakhimov. Mustafayev, his fists following his feet a little bit there as he steps with those punches into the final 20 seconds of round 1, and Seydrakhimov again looks for that left hand. He looks like he's one punch away from putting him down, doesn't he?
He really does. He's landing some good lead lefts, and the right hands are especially effective as well. Seydrakhimov working this round very, very nicely indeed. Nice and composed, taking his time. Mustafayev, he'll be pleased that bell's come, because he's going to need to change this up right now.
He needs to tighten up. He absolutely does, because he tends to come forward. He is aggressive, but Seydrakhimov has made quite easy work of picking him off as he does come forward, and he's had that count in the opening round as well, so he's lost that first round 10-8, and there's that left hand. It came off the back of a right hand, put him quite high on the head.
Yeah, lovely little shot there in the legs. You see the legs were stiffened up there. Here he's from another angle. Shot landed there, and you saw him stiffen up a little bit. Done well to recover from that shot, because it was a very big shot, but Seydrakhimov done the right thing, kept composed, didn't take any unnecessary chances, because as you can see, Mustafayev is strong. He's very physically strong, and you don't want to give him that opportunity. And I think for Seydrakhimov, it's all about keeping this long and systematically trying to break him down.
And just waiting, I think, for Mustafayev to come barreling forward, which he will do. And when he does that, he does tend to come around a little bit square. He needs to try and stay a bit more compact, get that guard up like he is here. And Seydrakhimov just dips his knees, looks for that long right hand.
Yep, Mustafayev would have had those instructions from the corner, because he's come out a lot tighter. I'd just like to see him moving his head off the line as well. Good left hook there from Mustafayev. Best shot of the contest so far landed by him, but good response by Seydrakhimov.
He aimed an uppercut, didn't he, the fighter in black, and almost landed it. He has to really commit, Mustafayev, when he comes in from the outside like that, because If he gets caught in no man's land, then he's got a big, big problem. The referee just having a quick chat with Mustafayev about making contact round the back of the head. He's looking for the uppercut again there, Sadrakimov. It's kind of interesting that, because you can see why he's looking for it, but he's got to bring his feet close to land it, and that actually suits Mustafayev more.
Absolutely. Mustafayev's one of those guys that's physically very strong. Malta seems to be dropping open a little bit. I'm not sure he's feeling the pace here just a little bit. He's put a lot into those first couple of rounds, but Sadrakimov, yeah, he's the one that seems to have the boxing IQ. Just missed with that uppercut again, but you can see the shot selection there. Just trying to change things up, mix it up. Mustafayev coming forward, but no real thought process around what he's doing at the moment. He's allowing Sadrakimov to tee off at will at the moment. Well, good response there.
Throws that right hand back. Kind of half got through. Nice little stab to the body there with the left hand though from Sadrakimov. And again, in rugged, muscular fashion, Mustafayev comes in, and what he's gambling on here really is that he's going to land something on Sadrakimov and make a dent in him and hurt him, because again there he looks to come forward. Sadrakimov winds up with a big uppercut.
Yep, there was a shot he was talking about, Andy. He got in range with that one and just landed that shot. Mustafayev took that shot quite well, to be fair, but he has to be careful of that. And there we see that reckless approach again as he runs in, trying to get into range, complaining about the low blow. He shouldn't be putting his hands down like that. The referee hadn't called stop. He was playing with fire there. He could have been quite easily knocked out then, because he's just stood in front of his opponent. Very strange.
He could have been, as you say. The referee hadn't given the instruction to stop boxing, and Sadrakimov just stood off Mustafayev and kind of allowed him to down tools for a few seconds there when he didn't really have to. He could have just let his hands go. He felt he was hit low. The referee didn't seem to really agree, but then in the end did give him a little bit of time into the final 30 seconds of round 2.
It's been a better round, this one, for Mustafayev. I'm not sure he's done enough to win the round, but it's been a better round for him for sure. It was a bit of a disastrous start, but he's sort of clawed his way back into it. But good finish here from Sadrakimov.
Just short with a jab there, Mustafayev. And right hand to the body there to finish off the round for Sadrakimov. 2 down here, 4 to go. This one's scheduled for 6 in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, it's a nice little contest, this one. Sadrakimov started very well. He had the knockdown in the first round. Mustafayev seemed hurt by that, but come back well and clawed his way back into it a little bit more in that second round after a disastrous start in the first. He'll be pleased with that going back to the corner. Now he has to try and build on that more, but look, he's 3 points behind on my scorecard, and you know, with only being a 6-rounder, at some point he's going to have to roll the dice, take that gamble, but he's got to be a little bit educated, because Mustafayev, for me, is a little bit reckless in his approach, and the boxing IQ is definitely for Sadrakimov. He's the guy that has the better boxing brain, and he's waiting for Mustafayev to fall in, and he's countering him with good left hooks, good right hands.
So into the third, I would agree that he's a couple of rounds down, and with the knockdown, that means, as Spencer said, a 3-point margin. So he needs to really get on the board in this third round, or he'll find himself down at halfway and needing knockdowns himself. There's certainly no faulting the gameness of him. He looks to come forward and throw, but Sadrakimov, as Spencer said, has got that better IQ, and really he doesn't have to do that much, Sadrakimov, does he? He just has to wait for Mustafayev to make his move, because he knows he will.
That's exactly what he's got to do, just hold his ground and then let the shots go after Mustafayev falls short, because what Mustafayev is doing here is he's trying to close that gap with his hands. He's leaving his feet behind, he's leaving himself vulnerable, he's just reaching with the shots a little bit. Sadrakimov has recognised that, and he's making him pay.
Just looking to try and work behind the jab again there, Sadrakimov sticks it out to measure the right hand. Hasn't let the right hand go, does now, but that one's caught pretty much on the glove.
Nice stabbing right hand to the body there from Sadrakimov as well. Mustafayev keeping those hands up, but needs to be a little bit more creative here. Body shot slams in as well.
And again, he does offer somebody, Mustafayev, as you see when he gets that guard up. The elbows are flared away from the midriff a touch. Right hand into the body from Mustafayev, who has looked to try and keep things a bit tighter in this round so far as we hit the midway stage. He's looking to take those punches on the gloves, but explode out every now and again.
Yep.
So Drakhimov can't get complacent here, can he? Because he's stood in range most of the time.
Well, and he got caught with a shot there, just as you said that right on the call there, Andy. Drakhimov switched off momentarily. And one thing you can see with Mustafayev is he can whack a little bit, so you can't give him that opportunity. Drakhimov is the guy with the height, with the reach, and he just used to use that to his advantage.
Let go with the right hand a few seconds ago. Good left there from Drakhimov. I think that maybe just buzzed Mustafayev a little bit. He certainly thought so. You can tell from the reaction of the fighter in black, the way that he seemed energized by that punch, that he felt that it got through a little bit. He maybe just needs to be a bit busier here, Drakhimov. He can just keep working that lead left hand, just keep throwing leather and keep his man occupied.
Yep, you're right there. You just feel that if he turned the screw just a little bit more, then Mustafayev may be in a bit more trouble. But he's just allowing him to recover after landing a couple of good shots. He's keeping Mustafayev in the fight at the moment.
Again, goes down to the body, and he said it in the previous round, and I think you're right. I think Mustafayev is...
Big shot, uppercut there, Andy, and he felt that shot landed right on the nose. It seemed to push the nose up there.
Looking to try and just curl that right hand round the back of the guard there. Drakhimov just finishing the round nicely. Yep. So the midway point of this one.
Another round in the bank there for Drakhimov, who's controlling things quite nicely. Can't afford to switch off. There was moments where he did, and he did get caught for that. But Mustafayev really has a lot to do going into this second half of the contest right now. Drakhimov has dominated really from the opening bell, and you just feel that if he turned it up a little bit more, it would ask more questions of Mustafayev. But it's a tough night now for Mustafayev, and he's got to do something totally different here. What he's doing right now is not working. He's walking forward. It's a little bit predictable, one-dimensional. He needs to roll the dice a little bit here.
I make you right, but I do wonder whether he can do that, because this is the first time I've seen him, and he looks like one of these guys where this is how he does it.
Yeah, and that's going to be a huge problem for him going in the second half of this contest. Just seemed to spit the gumshoe out there.
As I said, this is a tough fight to go straight into. This is a debut for him, and Drakhimov is a very, very experienced fighter, a good fighter, has operated at a good level, and straight into a six-rounder as well against somebody like him, and he is carrying a lot of muscle on that frame, Mustafayev, and I think he just needs to stay busy here, Drakhimov, just keep letting those hands go. He doesn't have to be reckless with it, but just use that jab, use that right hand, keep his man turning and moving, never allowing him to get set, and it'll be hard for Mustafayev, I think, to summon up the gas to be able to do too much about that.
Yep, you're right. It's always going to be difficult for Mustafayev, who landed a good right hand there, but got one back. Look at that, the response from Drakhimov. Beautiful straight right hand through the middle. One thing we found out about Mustafayev tonight is he can take a shot, because he's been on the end of some heavy punishment, nose bleeding now as well. Is that going to cause him problems?
It was a right hand from Drakhimov, I think, that crashed through the guard, and you can see there's quite a lot of blood coming out at the end of that nose, which never looks great for a fighter, but can cause serious problems. It can affect the breathing. You can end up swallowing blood. It's a very uncomfortable thing, and you can't tell from looking whether there's a fracture there or not, but there's certainly some damage, and he looks fairly exhausted there as he lets that right hand go.
Yeah, he certainly does. He looks like the soul is just being stolen from him right now at the moment. Disheartened look on his face. It's starting to look a bit of a mess now. Blood being wiped all over that, and you just sense that Drakhimov fancies this more now. He's in control, pushing forward a little more, and you just wonder what Mustafayev has left right now.
Again, goes with the left hand. That landed pretty much on the belt line there, Drakhimov. He's looked for the body every now and again. And Mustafayev is gamely just hanging in there. There's nothing wrong with his minerals, because he is feeling this. He just spits out a big mouthful of blood as we head into the final minute of round 4. And he's just trying to rally here, just trying to get something done.
Yeah, Pride keeping in there at the moment, because nothing's gone his way from the opening bell. It's been slowly, systematically getting broken down. and he's feeling the pace of this now. Big uppercut going on the inside there as well.
Followed it with a left hand there, Featherweight, but good right hand there from Mustafayev. Got close, whipped it over the top. You could see the sweat spray off the head there of Featherweight, but he took it absolutely fine, which won't do an enormous amount for Mustafayev's morale. But heading towards the end of round 4. Turning southpaw here, Featherweight. Right hand there from Mustafayev. Crept through a couple of times. That's happened in that round, and Featherweight doesn't want to be getting complacent. IBA President Umar Kremlev watching on from ringside. Plenty of big names around the last couple of days. Not just Spencer Oliver, plenty of other big names as well.
There certainly is. Tyson Fury's in town. Ben Whittaker's here as well. Derek Chisora, you know, David Hay. The list goes on. There's a lot of interest around this IBA boxing and what it's going to bring to the table. Will it bring, you know, will it change the sport at all with the amateurs and the professionals, you know, merging together, you know, somewhat, and the different sanctioning bodies as well? Look, it's very interesting. We was interested to come out here, find out more about it, and yeah, great event, great setup. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of impact it has on the sport of boxing.
Well, the setting for this has been amazing. Watching Jazza Dickens and Batyrgaziev weigh in yesterday on the banks of the Bosphorus, just down the river from the Golden Horn, one of the most historic settings in modern or ancient Europe. This is one of the ancient cities of the world. So never surprised by the kinds of destinations this sport leads you to. Featherweight just pursuing Mustafayev across the ring a little bit there, and you wonder whether he might just look to try and turn the screw here, because I feel like if he does, there could be a stoppage there for him, an accumulation, overwhelming kind of stoppage, rather than just maybe one single punch.
Yep, Featherweight been a dominant performance so far, and that would have been the instructions in the corner now. We're into the penultimate round. We're into round 5. Let's start picking it up a little bit now. Let's try and steal the show, because that's what it's all about right now. There's a lot of eyeballs on this, you know, going out live on the Zone TalkSports Boxing YouTube channel, the people that have turned out here as well. A lot of interest, and these fighters are going to want to impress. They're going to want to be remembered. Oh, good right hand there from Featherweight. Mustafayev took that shot well, but Featherweight senses he's hurt him here.
Backed him up towards the ropes in that black corner, and he's looking to try and walk him down a little bit, then walk straight on to a right hand, and down he goes. And he needed that. Mustafayev takes a big gulp of air, but he maybe just got a little bit complacent there, Featherweight. He felt himself on the end of that right. He didn't go down heavy, but down he went, and this is going to be a 10-8 round the other way for Mustafayev, unless really Featherweight can score a knockdown himself in the remainder of this round. And Mustafayev has worked terrifically hard in this fight. He's never looked once like he's going to throw the towel in. You wouldn't expect that of a pro fighter, but he's got pretty hard pretty quickly, and to see him land something like that, he kind of deserves it in a way.
Yep, Featherweight switched off there, and he paid the price. That was it. Well, it was complacency, played its part, and Mustafayev now has a glimmer of hope, and he will feel like he wants to push on, sit in that pocket and get those shots off. That's where he needs to be. He needs to meet fire with fire here. Right hand just falls short there, but better work here, better rounding from Mustafayev.
Really is. He got through with another right hand there, worked to the body, and then just flung that one up over the top. A strong right hand from Featherweight gets through. But what he's got to be careful of here, the Uzbek fighter, is just standing in range. We talked about it earlier in the fight. He's brought it to a distance, really, that suits his opponent, because he fancies a stoppage and he wants to let his own hands go. But the way to make sure that this doesn't go disastrously wrong for him now is to keep this long, keep it on the outside, and not trade, which is exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, well, sometimes ego plays a part, pride plays a part, and he found himself on the seat of his pants, and he wouldn't have wanted that. He was in a fight that he was in complete control of, switched off, got complacent, and paid the price. Now he's got to be careful that he doesn't not stick to the game plan, because that's important right now. Mustafayev will be very pleased walking back to the corner after that 5th round there, taking it 10-8. The first round he's won on our scorecards, and I'm sure the judges as well. It's been quite a convincing performance so far from Featherweight, But Mustafayev now will have that hope. Round number 6, sixth and final round. He's going to come out there and roll the dice. The instructions in that corner now, you can see they're fired up and they'll be saying, right, let's build on that now. Let's go for it. You get the opportunity, you let the shots go. It's all or nothing.
And you just see the knockdown there. He threw the right hand there, Sadrakimov, missed with it, was caught maybe a little bit square and a bit tall, and he just flung that right hand back there, Mustafayev, and down he went. It was a solid shot, a perfectly legitimate knockdown, and that will give him all the encouragement he needs, because he's got to just give it everything in this final round. I agree that those first 4 plus a knockdown would have gone Sadраkimov's way, that previous round that we've just seen will have gone 10-8 Mustafayev's way, so still with plenty to do, unless the judges have found another round for him in there. And Sadrakimov, keep it on the outside, keep it busy, don't get involved. That would be the advice from the corner, I'm sure. Whether he follows it or not is a different thing.
Yep, that's exactly right, and that's the advice that he should be sticking to. He has the height, has the reach, throw the shots, come off the line. Don't sit in the pocket, because Mustafayev right now, he'll be fancying this.
Looks to let loose with a big haymaker of a right hand there, Mustafayev almost swung himself off his feet throwing it. And again, there looks for that right hand over the top. That's the one that's worked for him, really. He throws it from all angles, but it just curls in over the top of that low lead left of Sadrakimov, and he's had some joy with it. That chopping down right has been the most effective punch, you would probably say, from Sadrakimov, and that time he did spin himself in a full 360-degree circle there, Mustafayev throwing that right.
I tell you what, Andy, Sadrakimov's gambling a little bit here, because he's like wanting to close the show here. He's wanting to finish the show on a high, and he's sitting in the pocket and giving Mustafayev that opportunity. It's a dangerous game that he's playing here.
It is, and he's done that from the start. He has done that from the start. It would have been very obvious to him, given how experienced he is, that Mustafayev is one of these guys who kind of shows you very quickly how he's going to do it, and he's not really going to be capable of changing up. But if he just wanted to win this fight 6-0, maybe with a knockdown, no problems, take no risks, he could have done it.
Yeah.
But he's chosen not to do it.
Yeah, he's chosen to not stick to the game plan, I'm sure. Like we said, Sadrakimov is the guy with a boxing IQ. He has that pedigree. You look at what he's achieved in the amateur ranks, and you can see that by the way he's boxing. He's got great ring awareness, he controls the space very well, but that's the danger. Mustafayev is unpredictable, wild, and we know what can happen when those sort of shots land.
So into the final minute. It's been an entertaining fight, this, it really has, and I give Mustafayev plenty of credit, because he was hit hard and knocked into the ropes early in round 1. It was a pretty terrible start, and you could tell that he felt that punch, he really felt it. Then the nose went in the previous round, and he responded by managing to put his man down. So unless he uncorks something massive in the final 20 seconds, he's not going to get the decision here, but he's played a very, very big part in this fight.
Yep, been a great opening contest, isn't it? Mustafayev has given it everything, feeling the pace now. Body shots seem to go low there. Didn't complain about that one. Sadrakimov finishing on a high, dominant, finished with a lovely right hand as well.
Well, nothing quite like a good old-fashioned heavyweight ding-dong to get things started. And as we look down at ringside there's Terence Crawford. 3 months out, pretty much, from his mega fight with Canelo. He's taken the time to come over and see everybody, which is much appreciated. Tyson Fury, as Spencer mentioned here as well. David Haye, Johnny Nelson, Barry Jones sitting away to our left-hand side. There's the great and the good of boxing have descended on Istanbul. And they'll have enjoyed that opening fight, because what you want to see when the bell goes in any fight, whatever the level, is 2 fighters give it everything, because you can never ask for more than that, can you? And that's what we got there.
Absolutely, decent opening to the show there with these heavyweights. They put it on the line, they left it in the ring. Both guys were down. Yeah, what a start. Brilliant. Sadrakimov for me winning that one. 58-55. I think the knockdown done him some big favours, giving me a little bit of hope, but you know, credit to him. He kept pushing forward, kept trying, but the better boxing for me come from Sadrakimov, and runs out a clear winner.
And IBA.PRO was worked really well for Batyrgaziev. I mentioned that fight in Havana against Julio de Cruz. He took that out of the away corner, tough job, 10-rounder, didn't blink, accepted the fight. He got another fight on that Kovalev undercard, again out of the away corner, won the fight in the final round with a stoppage. And again, boxing out of the away corner here. We feel very confident that he's managed to score another win, and I'm sure that he will be back out on one of these cards again soon. Just waiting for the referee to call these two to the middle. Okay, here comes the MC. Just getting those gloves off of Mustafayev. It can take an awfully long time to get those gloves off, particularly if you're tired. He's managed it now. Here he comes to the centre of the ring.
The winner, by a unanimous decision, in the black corner from Uzbekistan,
So Batyrgaziev gets it by unanimous decision. I don't think there was any real doubt about that. Round 5 would have gone to Mustafayev. 10-8 thanks to the knockdown, but Batyrgaziev had one himself in the opening round and would have won every other round apart from round 5. So a good win for him. And again, I tip my hat to Mustafayev because that's the debut. And that was a hard fight to take on debut.
Absolutely. Listen, Mustafayev showed a lot of character in there, that is for sure, because a couple of times in there where it was getting tough. And I know that can dishearten you as a fighter, disillusion you as a fighter, and it's easy to find a different way out there. He was taking a lot of punishment. The knockdown in round 5 gave him that little bit of hope. He went for it in round 6, but just wasn't enough. The better boxing IQ, which was Batyrgaziev, and he ran out a clear winner. You know, there's a lot to work with Batyrgaziev, that is for sure. He's got the good fundamentals. Boxing IQ looks good, switches off sometimes from time to time, but yeah, I like that. Decent contest to open up what should be a great night of boxing.
Well, it was a good way to get things started. Batyrgaziev I'd seen a few times before. Mustafayev, I'd never seen. It was a ring entrance full of energy, and it was a performance full of ambition as well. He came in to win 100%. There's some rough edges that need to be smoothed off that technique a little bit, and Batyrgaziev, in a way, was the right kind of opponent on the one hand because he was willing to mix it, he was willing to trade, he fancied trying to get the stoppage himself. It didn't quite happen for him, but we saw a lot of good shots landed there. Yeah,
he's seen some great shots, didn't you? That knockdown that happened there in that first round there, we Mustafayev, he done well to recover from that. You see the legs buckle and the body stiffen, but he come back very well, and he was on the end of some heavy punishment. Just never give up hope, and that's a quality of its own there. You know, he was tough, rough, sticking with it, and he had his successes as well. You know, that 5th round knockdown was a lovely shot, as we saw there. It was a short right hand over the top, and a little reminder for Batyrgaziev to say, listen, son, don't switch off here yet. You may feel like you're in control, but I'm one of those rare breed that doesn't give up hope, doesn't lose heart. And he showed a lot of character there, Mustafayev, and I appreciated what I saw. And there's a good future in the sport for him. A loss doesn't mean the end of your career when you're just starting out. I think it's how you rebuild from that. You know, that can be the moulding of a fighter in many ways. So, good effort there by Mustafayev, but Batyrgaziev, clear winner.
Special pleasure we present the women's fight, 6 rounds of boxing for the IBA.PRO Featherweight contest. And please, welcome to the black corner from Iran, Pune, Akhuntabar Mazandarani.
So this is 6 rounds, an IBA.PRO fighter, 57 kilos of featherweight division, and this is Pune Akhuntabar Mazandarani. A 9-syllable surname is not necessarily the commentator's friend. Spencer Oliver, I'm giving you permission to call her Pune Akhuntabar because she allows that herself. She understands that that can be a difficult thing to fit on the screen sometimes. Akhuntabar, in fact, the production team have gone with. She's a good fighter, 37 years old from Tehran, has mixed it in good opposition. She's travelled all over the place to take fights. I saw her make her IBA.PRO debut in Dubai last December. Won a good fight against Zenia Jurniak. I've been 10 rounds once with Sofia Onchigava. People will remember Onchigava if you follow the amateurs closely. She met Katie Taylor in the London Olympic final in 2012. Came off second best to Taylor that night. So that is Pune Akhuntabar Mazandarani.
Yep, I think Akhunda works for me, Andy. I really appreciate you allowing me to say that, mate.
It is my great pleasure to announce to you the athlete in the gold corner, Mijgona Samadova.
And making her way to the ring now, Mijgona Samadova from Dushanbe in Tajikistan. This is her professional debut. Experienced amateur, boxed at the World Championships in 2022, 2023, 2025, his most recent IPA version in Nick in Serbia, got to the quarterfinals and qualified as well for the Paris Olympics last year, which is an achievement in itself. Lost her first fight by split decision, which would have been absolutely devastating, but as I say, it's a hard road to get to the Olympic Games, so she'll always have that status of being an Olympian. She boxes out of that gold corner. Akhuntabar Mazandarani out of the black corner.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you first, fighting out of the black corner. She's 37 years old, standing 170 centimeters tall, weighing at 57 kilograms 7. Ladies and gentlemen, her IBA.PRO record, 1 bout, 1 victory. Representing Tehran, Iran, she is Pune Akhuntabar Mazandarani.
And in the gold corner, 26 years old, standing 164 centimeters, 57 kilograms. This is her debut match. From Tajikistan, Mijgona Samadova.
Ladies and gentlemen, and when the bell rings, your referee in charge, Maria Petkovic, Serbia.
So final checks from the referee. She'll have a look at the gloves, the taping of the gloves, the gum shield, the protector, make sure that everything is as it should be.
Boxers, keep your head up, no holding, no low blows. Listen to my commands. Touch your gloves. Good luck.
A bit like the last fight, this is an interesting fight to take on debut for Samadova, as it was for Mustafayev, because Akhuntabar Mazandarani is an experienced fighter, won in IBA.PRO that I mentioned in Dubai last year, but 11 in pro boxing outside of that. She's boxed in China, Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, Bangladesh, Thailand. She's gone wherever the fights have taken her, and she's nice and busy most of the time, and she's going to have to work hard here, Samadova, who comes out in that southpaw stance. She's boxing in the white, Akhuntabar Mazandarani in the black.
Yep, ambitious fight for Samadova to take in her opening debut in the IBA ranks against a very experienced fighter in Akhunda. who's been there, seen it, and done it. She's got a lot of experience. Interesting contest, this one.
Samadova just creeping in with that front foot. Right hand, that lead hand, low. You see lots of southpaws in international elite amateur boxing.
Samadova started this round very well. She's controlling the space well and pushing Okunda into the corner, not allowing her to control anything in there at the moment. This is impressive stuff here from Samadova.
She's just manoeuvring her opponent around the ring, isn't she? Just using that front foot. Quite a wide stance, so the front foot will feel like it's all over Okunda Zamazandarani. The referee just having a quick word with her there. It puts you under pressure straight away, doesn't it? That front foot's just in your space.
Well, I can't tell you that lead left hook there after the referee called break. She was very fortunate not to get more punished for that. Samadova, to her credit, soaked it up and just got on with the job. Controlling things again here, Samadova, pinning Okunda into that corner. And this is the difference here, Andy, that she's controlling this space and making Okunda work when she doesn't really want to work. And she's controlling that space, and that's the difference between these two at the moment.
Maybe just shutting her own space down a touch at times, Samadova, if you were to be hypercritical. Because, as you say, she's marshalling her opponent back onto the ropes, into the corners, and possibly when she gets there, it's just slightly over-eager and not giving herself quite enough room, but a good opening round.
Yeah, and Samadova controlled that, and she controlled that round with her feet there. She was utilising the space very well, controlling the space, and Okunda, I think, was a little bit surprised by that, surprised by her strength and her physical presence. And Okunda was being allowed to be pinned into the corners, pinned into the ropes, and she was waiting for Samadova. Samadova was not really doing too much. Like I say, she was controlling the space with her feet, but now needs to start building on that now, letting her hands go, throwing those punches in bunches, because that's going to be the difference here between the winner and loser, is the person that gets those hands going and letting those shots go.
Samadova staying on her feet in between rounds.
Round two.
So into the second. Samadova just wandering in a little bit behind the left hand there. The back foot came round slightly.
Samadova boxing out that southpaw stance, and she's getting off for those shots first. And she's got through with the 1-2 again there. And Okunda is really struggling with the style here, maybe the southpaw style of Samadova, because she's not getting off her shots and she doesn't look particularly comfortable in there at the moment.
No, she doesn't. I think that's a very accurate assessment. And just a few seconds ago, she did try to move in, but as she was moving in, Samadova just took that half step back, took her feet out, and Okunda Zamazandarani was just stuck in no man's land and ate 2 or 3 shots. Not massive punches, but they were accurate enough.
Yep, you only have to read the body language of the two here, and Samadova controlling that space again so well, but you can see a little spring in her step here, and for Okunda, she needs to start doing something a little different, getting off of her shots first, getting her lead foot on the outside of Samadova, because that's going to make a big difference as well.
And she went for that right hand there. Okunda Zamazandarani stepped in with it, but landing that right hand up against a southpaw, if she pulls her weight onto that back foot, can be a difficult thing to do. Look for it again there and just got caught nowhere, really, and on the end of a counter-attack.
Yep, just half-heartedly throwing it. That's why she's holding her feet, not stepping in with the shots. You've got to commit yourself there. You've got to have confidence in your own ability. You've got to let those shots go. Referee just taking Okunda back to the corner here to get the hair fixed, or the hair banned, which can be very annoying as well.
Corner just making sure they tie that nice and tight. Gets both fighters a little bit of a breather. It's always hot up in that ring, but in this kind of indoor venue, it's been heating up during the day. When you get that lighting rig up, I think the temperature above us is pretty lively. Final few seconds of round two. There goes the bell.
Yep, another dominant round there from Samedova, who's really fancying this. She walks back to the corner, bouncing up and down on her toes. Former world cruiserweight champion there, Johnny Nelson. He's looking on. He looks quite impressed there as well. But yeah, good performances so far from Samedova. And Akunda really has to do something different here. She looks a little disheartened in the corner. The corner are trying to work her up, trying to pump her up. And they're going to need to, because she's fallen behind there big time in those opening 2 rounds. Andy, not committing with her work, holding her feet, and that is going to be a big problem. And Samedova, what a debut so far.
Round 3.
So the start of the third, Michigona Samedova in the white, Pune Akundabama-Zandarani in the black. 2-minute rounds that slip by. It's the endless debate, 2 minutes or 3 minutes in the pros. It does need, you would say, some kind of regulation, but the situation as it stands is that whoever's promoting the event requests either 2 or 3 minute rounds from the governing body, sanctioning body, whose auspices a fight is being put on under. So the British Boxing Board of Control, for example, in the UK, or the State Commission in the US, the Turkish Boxing Federation here, and they then decide whether they're going to grant 3-minute rounds if they are requested. It's 3 minutes in the amateurs, so you come out of the elite international amateurs and you're used to boxing 3 threes, and then you go to 2 minutes. It's kind of strange, isn't it, really?
Yep, it really is. I think the 3-2s, the 2-minute round, sorry, for women does work. I like it. They haven't got time to settle, so the pace, the tempo's much higher. And I've got to tell you, Akunda caught Samedova just moments ago on the back of the head. She really wasn't happy, and since that happened, that shot landed, Samedova's really picked it up, and you can see the spike in her shots there, and the tempo has definitely changed here from Samedova.
Really just set her feet to the near side just now and looked to heave that left hand in. Just sticks out that lead. Right hand there, Samedova. That's a nice right as well. She just kind of popped off the shoulder. Walks in behind the straight left hand.
Another good shots again there from Samedova, just taking that half a step back, creating that space and leading off with a hook, cross hook. Good work there. And another round that hasn't gone the way of Akunda as she walks back to that corner. And Andy, they're really going to have to do something here. Samedova, for me, taking those opening 3 rounds and just, you know, controlling things. First to the shot, the better shot selection, controlling the space. And for someone like Akunda, who has that wealth of experience, great amateur pedigree as well, you know, been in this IBA ranks for some time as well, you just like to see her change something now, because you just feel that she's got the ability to be able to do that, but we're not seeing it right now.
Really, she's just got to have a bit more conviction, have the courage of a conviction to gamble a little bit here, I think, Akundabama-Zandarani, because what she's doing is, as you said before, it's a bit half-hearted, so she'll launch an attack, but then only gets halfway there, and Samedova can take those feet out and catch her on the way in, and then she's wary of that, so she's just gone into a shell, basically, but she needs to gamble a bit here. She needs to try and get on the board and win this 4th round. Easy for me to say from sat down here, but she needs to try and bring a more consistent level of attack. She just came in with her feet there, caused her opponent to retreat, and at that point she needs to go again.
Yep, spot on analysis there. It's exactly what she needs to do. And again, Samedova is the one that's landing the cleaner shots. Why is she landing the cleaner shots? Because she's throwing them a split second before Akunda, and that is the difference between these two at the moment. Boxing well out of that southpaw stance. Akunda doesn't look comfortable boxing in southpaw here either, because she seems to have run out of ideas. Samedova holding the centre of the ring, and you see the hands down low. Now, the reason she's got those hands down is because she's trying to draw the lead of Akunda there, and then she's going to step back, make her pay.
OK, so the referee is having a... Well, they're going to have to sort out that hairband again there, just trying to pull it down tight. over the top of the head and keep that under control. What I would like to see from Samudova a bit more is, you can see how much she likes that left hand, and she almost throws it like a single left, doesn't she? A left-hand lead quite often. Or just comes in behind the jab there, like she did, where the jab is just, it's a way in, isn't it? But she maybe just shuts down her space a bit. It'd be good to see if she could just throw it really nice and loose straight down the middle like a normal 1-2.
Absolutely, but the problem is when she throws that backhand, Samudova, she falls in with her back foot a bit. You watch her feet as she lets the right hand, the left hand go, and her back foot follows the shot in as well, so she's not got the space to get off with any other shots. So I wanted to see her holding her feet a little bit after she throws that 1-2, holding her feet and letting the combinations flow. We need a little bit of fluidity around the work, not just the 1-2s, because, you know, her boxing control and everything is spot on. You know, good foot movement, she draws the leads well, boxes out of that southpaw stance, you know, showing great IQ, but those little things are going to make a huge difference.
So into the closing stages, it's another round that Samudova has won. Kundabama-Zandarani has brought a bit more in this round, I think, though. Good head movement there from her. But it's not going to be enough to win the round as the bell goes. So 4 down here, 2 to go.
And Akunda has just walked back to that corner, and I tell you, they're going to have to do a good job here because she looks very disheartened. 4 rounds down. And she's been on the end of some heavy punishment. One of the cornermen just jumping up in the corner as well. And they're going to have to really gear her up here, Andy, because it's not going to away her at all. Just trying to fix the headband again there, I think, at the moment. But yeah, it's been a tough night for Akunda. And at 37 years of age, you don't really want to be on the end of that sort of punishment.
Well, 2 rounds to go, so the finishing tape is in sight for her here. And I think that's what they might be telling her in the corner. If you can just navigate this one, then you're going to get through the final round, aren't you? Probably, because you're near enough, then you can see it.
Round 5.
Having said that, on the other side of the ring, it would be good to see Samudova try and click through the gears a bit here. Maybe just relax and loosen up a bit. She is quite rigid, a little bit muscular in the way that she throws the punches. She tends to heave them in a little bit, force them slightly. Good jab left hand there, though. Got good distance on that one.
Yep, just loading up with her shots maybe a little bit too much if you're going to try and, you know, pick any faults in her performance, which has been a very good one so far. You go a little bit of constructive criticism, just relax, let them flow. You know, the idea is right, look, hands down by the side, you're controlling that space, leaning back off the shots. Akunda is pinned on them ropes again. She doesn't really want to be there. That was better work off the ropes from Akunda.
Again, the jab just lands on the face there of Kundabama-Zandarani. The corner full of encouragement for us. We head into the second minute of round 5. As you've been saying, and I think you're absolutely right, with Samudova, there's some good tools there. It's just that little bit of fluidity. There's our left hand, a perfect example of what you were talking about before.
Falling in with the back foot after that shot, losing her balance and not being able to throw anything off that backhand because she's closed her space down. That's exactly what it is. Minor adjustments. And, you know, there's the foundations are definitely there. Those silly little shots, the silly little mistakes she's making is not allowing her to set up for phase 2 and putting those combinations together.
And it's all about that day in, day out drilling in the gym, because some things are quite hard warning to fighters and it can take a while for them to snap out of that kind of habit. But getting that back foot anchored to the floor and sitting down on your punches, as we described it, that is a big part of professional boxing. We both watched Lauren Price a lot during her pro career, and in the early stages, that back foot used to come round, and she's so fast that it didn't really matter. But as she went up in the levels, a couple of fights later, you just noticed that back foot was anchored, and it just made such a difference.
Yeah, 100%. Again, a great analogy there, looking at Lauren Price and what she was doing. She now holds her feet, and she controls that space so well. You know, use that Natasha Jonas performance as an example. She dominated that fight. She found her range and she held her feet, let the combinations go. Now, for someone like Samedova, I would advise her to go and watch someone like Lauren Price and say, listen, that's what you need to be doing. Throw your punches in bunches, 4s and 5s. And why does she do that? Because she's allowed to do that, because she's created her own space.
So into the 6th and final round, and Akundabama Zandarani just coming off her stall there. She's been feeling this 10 minutes that she's boxed so far, but as we were saying, that finishing line is now in sight for her. Samedova with some decent footwork, just landing the jab a couple of times as she was on the way out.
Yep, just a little spring in her step again here. Samedova, she knows the finish line's quite near. She'll feel that she's in a comfortable lead. And Akunda, although she needs to do something different, and we'll talk about throwing the kitchen sink and all of that, but sometimes when your opponent doesn't allow you to do that, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is really easy to say that somebody just needs to be more aggressive and try and make more happen, but if every time you do that, then your opponent manages to find an answer, then it's not actually that wise a thing to do, particularly at this stage of the fight. She's not going to win this fight. She has to get a knockout now to win this fight, and there's been no evidence that that is on the table.
Well, you know, you get a lot of people saying, like, in certain fights, certain situations, well, he's got to roll the dice now, or she's got to roll the dice now. Why didn't they do that? You go, because they're not allowed to do it. There's a difference. You can't just go in there and go, all right, let's just go for it, because you're going to get yourself knocked clean out, ice cold. That's why they don't do it, because they want to finish a fight on their feet. And I think that this is a prime example here. Samedova has controlled this space. She's come in as a debutante, and she's controlled the space really well against a very experienced opponent. It's a great debut here, and she'll be pleased with herself, and there'll be things to work on, and she's going to be one to watch in the future for sure.
And she's handled the 6 rounds very comfortably too. When you're dictating terms, which she has been, then that certainly makes things easier, but she looks like she could do 3, 4 more of these. And in female pro boxing, it is possible, of course, to move quickly. Those durations are not the same. And there goes the final bell, and that's a good performance from Samedova. As we've been saying, there are some technical flaws to be ironed out there, but pretty much everybody has those early in a career. But as debuts go, I think she could be very pleased with it.
Absolutely. You know, it's debuts are always horrible. I know she's a wealth of experience. I did as an amateur. My debut as a professional was a very frustrating one. Didn't enjoy that at all. I had a guy that had a wealth of experience and just ran away and made it very difficult for me. But Samedova there, she was in against a class operator, and she dealt with it, and she boxed well. Yeah, there were minor faults, but overall that was a brilliant performance, and one that she'll want to remember for sure.
Just getting that road back on. Meanwhile, Akundabama Zandarani getting ungloved in the black corner. She got through to the final bell, but I think she'll find herself on a scoreline of 6 rounds in favour of Samedova, and not in her column, I'm afraid, but I'm sure we'll see her again. There's plenty of work for fighters who are prepared to travel.
Ladies and gentlemen, after the end of action, your winner by unanimous decision from the cold corner, Mijkana Samedova, Tajikistan.
So nice to remember for Samedova, you only get one pro debut, and great to have it on a stage like this with the other fighters on the card and the people in the crowd watching on. And I'm sure that a place will be found for her on an IBA.PRO card again before too long.
Strong beliefs. My lover's got no power, he's he's got his strong beliefs. My love has got no fame, he's got his strong beliefs. My love has got no money, he's got his strong beliefs. Want more and more, people just want more and more freedom and love.
Well, this is Samadova just taking to the ring a few moments ago. She was very, very relaxed, very confident, very composed. It's easy to think that you would be when you've done what she's done as an amateur. She boxed at the Olympic Games, for example. You were there. It was an unbelievable setup in Paris. Crowds were fantastic. The pressure was there and all of that. But she lost that first fight by split decision, which would have taken some getting over. But to give that kind of performance on a pro debut, you would have forgiven her for a few nerves. But there didn't really seem to be any, to be honest.
Absolutely. Listen, the Olympic dream was over in Paris. She lost a close split decision, and she would have been disheartened from that, and it's tough to come back from that, and she would have felt that there's a lot of pressure on her shoulders to deliver there. So what we saw was a great boxing display, controlling that space, throwing those 1-2s, getting through the guard, but more importantly, evading those shots. So a lot to like, a lot to work with there.
It's time now for the third match of the evening. This is a rating IBA.PRO 6-round match. In the black corner, Milana Safronova.
So an IBA.PRO fight here, over 6 rounds at 63.5 kilos. And making her way to the ring first will be Milana Safronova of Kazakhstan. 34 years old, 2 fights and 2 draws in pro boxing. This is her IBA.PRO debut. Boxed for Kazakhstan internationally as an amateur, went to the World Championships in 2018, the Asian Championships in 2024. So those appearances in big international tournaments have been relatively few and far between, but it's a very strong team. So that's not altogether surprising, not that rare. And when I look at her pro record, actually, there's a fight that stands out. She made her debut in August 2017 and had another fight 4 months after that, and she drew against Bo Mi Ray Shin. Now, a few of you will remember that name because she gave Caroline Dubois a hell of a tussle at the Royal Albert Hall back in March. Dubois was well ahead going into the last couple of rounds, but Shin just kept going, got to her, and very, very nearly turned things around. So that's an interesting fight to have on her ledger. She's been out of action in the pro ring since then, but looking forward to seeing what she can do.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gold Corner from Turkey, Gusum Tatan Kaptan!
Gusum Tatar, the home fighter, 40 years old now, but if you've been following the international amateurs for a while, then you'll recognize the name because she did an awful lot back in the 2000s. Won 7 European titles when it was split between the EABA and the EU, 2 world titles, had great tussles with the likes of Katie Taylor, Tasha Jonas, Chantel Cameron, scored wins over all of them, more than 1 against Taylor, more than 1 against Tasha Jonas as well. So she's been around, she's done a lot, didn't make it to the Olympics in London, and has had a stop-start pro career, hasn't boxed actually for quite some time until this year. And now maybe she's back.
She's 34 years old, 173 centimeters, and 63.4 kilo. The Asian champion, 3-time champion of Kazakhstan, recognized as the best female boxer of Kazakhstan. World Championship bronze medalist from Kazakhstan, Milana
Ladies and gentlemen, and her opponent fighting out of the gold corner. She's 40 years old, standing 170 centimeters tall, weighing in at 63.5 kilograms. Her IBA.PRO debut tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, she's a world and European champion representing Kaz, Turkey, Gusum Tatar Kaptan. And then the bell rings. Your referee in charge, Valery Pastukhov, Moldova.
So another 6-rounder between these two as they're called to the middle.
Boxers, head up, no holding, no low blow. Listen to me, comrades. Shake hand. Good luck.
And it should be an interesting fight, this, because I outlined the credentials that they both have. What we don't really know with Gulsum Tatar, because I've not seen her since she came back this year, is what she's got left. She looks in good shape at 40 years old, but she's giving away age to Safronova, who's been boxing at elite level for a good period of time herself. And physically, they're quite different. Safronova, the taller of the two, a solid look about her. She boxes out of the orthodox stance. Tatar, in the white, boxing as a southpaw.
Yep, Tatar, been around a long time. And that's the question now, Andy, isn't it? What has she got left? What can she deliver? Boxes out that southpaw stance, as you say. Quite awkward, difficult to work out. And Safronova is going to have to be very cautious and very clever about her approach here.
She's looked for that right hand to the body a couple of times, Safronova, just dipped her knees, thrown it nice and long and straight, and caught Tatar with it, who's just standing on the borderline of range there, almost trying to tempt Safronova into something. And the referee actually saying to the pair of them they need to throw some punches, they need to get on with it, but they're having a good look at each other, aren't they? Because Safronova, as you said, is slightly wary of the person she's got in front of her. She knows about the quality, she doesn't want to commit and give anything away.
Yep, there's plenty of respect between these two. These girls will know each other, they will know their strengths and their weaknesses, and it's a little bit of cat and mouse at the moment. Just trying to draw the other one's lead. You can see the boxing IQ from both of them is good. You know, they're controlling their space very well. Tatar just falling in a little there, losing her footing.
Looking for that right hand there, Safronova, but Tatar just managed to just dip and let it slide over his shoulder. Hanging on that back foot with that left hand cocked and ready to go, Tatar, at all times, really.
Safronova has got herself in a good position here because she's holding this centre of the ring, so she will be forcing the pace of this one. Tatar looking to counter, lands a good counter on the bell there. Lovely little shot. Saw a little glimpse of magic there as the jab come out from the southpaw style from Safronova. Tatar made her play with that lovely right hand, and probably the cleanest shot of that round.
You could just see the time there, couldn't you? Because she just pulled onto that back foot, fired that left hand. It was kind of perfect, really. So it's an interesting opening round, that. Not too much between them.
Yeah, Tatar maybe just stealing it, maybe with that last shot. And I mean, you know, it's the sort of the only real highlight of the round where something really did stand out. Now, I get where both these girls are coming from. The boxing quality is high in this one, and neither one of them wants to make a fundamental mistake, because if they do, they get made to pay the price. And we saw that at the end of that round there with Tatar, who landed that lovely right-hand counter.
Round 2.
So they're scheduled for 6. And the pace has picked up from the pair of them right from the start of the round. I think really more initiated by Safronova, who's trying to get busy with that lead hand. She's not really punching with it necessarily, but trying to use it as a distraction so she can move in behind that right. I think she feels that that is the shot for her, that if she doesn't chase it in with that natural reach, she can get there anyway.
Yeah, well, what she needs to do here, Safronova, is she needs to create the space, like feint with that jab, hit the jab to the gloves, shuffle the feet in to land that right hand in range, because the shot for a southpaw is the right hand and you follow up with a left hook. When you go with your own left, you reach over your front foot and you leave yourself vulnerable and open for counters. So here, Safronova, what she needs to do is punch to the gloves here of Tatar, and then let that right hand, there's the right hand, then she needs to follow it up with a left hook and shuffle her feet into range.
It's an interesting tactical battle, this, because Tatar is just waiting, trying to make Safronova fall a little bit short. She wants to try and draw that right hand, doesn't she? Even though that's the punch that Safronova favours. See if she can fall short with it and then just pull the trigger on that left. Bounce off that back foot almost.
Yeah, they both know exactly what they're trying to achieve here. That's the thing. They're both working out the work here, and that's where you're at with boxing. When you get to a certain level and a higher level, you know, it's always about changing, being unpredictable. Unpredictability wins in this game, and at the moment, they're both working each other out.
Closing stages of the second round.
Yeah, sorry, Andy, and I was going to say that causes that stalemate, and that's why you know the styles are not gelling.
Touch of gloves between the two. Could be one round apiece, I think, maybe, after that second round. Safronova was probably a little bit busier, landed that right hand into the body a couple of times. Tyson Fury taking a seat down at ringside in front of Liam Smith, Callum Smith, Paul Smith here as well. He sat next to Roy Jones Jr., Tyson Fury, so there's some ability over there in that front row.
Yeah, and next to Roy Jones Jr. is Johnny Nelson, and the list just keeps going on. I'm looking around the room, and wherever you look, you see another face, another name. Troy Deeney's even there as well. I can see him right through the middle of the ring, and yep, a lot of intrigue around this. We always get that when there's something new coming onto the scene. The IBA, who you know and know very, very well, Andy, you know, you cover so many amateur events across the globe, so you know what the IBA is about, but the intrigue here is the IBA.PRO, and I think that opens up a lot of doors for fighters that may, you know, don't get that opportunity because they're the chairman of the Who Needs Him, Who Wants Him club, and they don't come from the right part of the world.
No, that's absolutely right, and that's what's going to be very, very interesting about it. It's been going for a while now, IBA.PRO, and I've seen some really, really good matchups. And in someone like Albert Batyrgaziev, I've seen Muslim Ganjimagomedov win a World Bridgerweight title as well on a card in Russia last year. Those are two fighters who want to make their name in their home countries. Good sportsmanship there between the two as they took a tumble to the canvas. They want to be big names and built where people really care about them and they're going to buy tickets for them, and that as a fighter is absolutely what you want.
Yeah, nice to see that bit of respect between the two there, wasn't it? Safronova giving Tatar a little cuddle. She pushed her down on that floor, so it's always nice to see that. There's a lot of respect between these two, but you'd like to see maybe not so much respect when it comes to the boxing side of it, Andy, because one of these girls needs to make that move. You know, they need to take that chance, take that opportunity, because that's what boxing's all about here. You know, and they're both playing it a little too safe at the moment.
Tatar a few seconds ago got those feet in and rattled off a decent combination to the body. Throws her left into the body there, but it's settled into a little bit of a pattern this. She's looking for the long right hand, Safronova, as she did there, and Tatar's hoping to time it and catch her maybe with that quicker hand speed.
And that's exactly what Tatar just done there, with that straight left hand through the middle, boxing out of the southpaw stance, Tatar. And maybe those couple of little shots is the difference between these two, and enough to win these rounds. But yep, dare I say, it's no more than a sparring session at the moment, because neither girl is willing to commit, and at some point they're going to have to commit. Again, just down on the floor.
And there goes the bell. Just a little bit of a wrestle there towards the end of the round, and I agree this does need to just liven up a little bit, because tactically they've been having a look at each other. There aren't too many glaring deficiencies there in either one of them, but I think they need to up the pace, the pair of them, and just go looking a bit harder, because at this kind of tempo, then one of them is going to get to the end of the fight and lose on points and feel like they might have done enough to win it, but you need to do more than that.
Yeah, or on the flip side, one of them is going to get to the end, lose on points, and just leave this place, leave this venue really annoyed with themselves, saying, why didn't I do more? You know, I think that if you give it your all and you leave it all in the ring and you can't do any more, you're satisfied with your performance, you know, and I think that's where we're at right here. These girls have got this opportunity. This is a great platform, a lot of eyeballs here. Not many times do you see as many boxing stars in one room as what we've got right here in Istanbul.
So touch your gloves and into the second half of the fight. Also Tatar of Turkey in the white, Safronova of Kazakhstan in the black.
Nice start there from Tatar, who landed a couple of nice left hands through the middle, followed by the right hooks over the top. That's better. That's what she needs to do now. Try and build on that if she wants to make a significant lead. I've got her 2 rounds to 1 up at the moment, but subjective scoring, the rounds were close, very tight. No one really dominated in those rounds. So this fight still very much there for grabs. Still, this is a 3-round contest in my eyes.
Chopping right hand from Safronova. Just about got through. Again, she dips her knees and looks for that long right hand into the body. Tatar's done a good job, actually, most of the time of avoiding that.
And we saw Safronova there throwing that backhand, that right hand, and falling in over the shots again. And that shows a lack of commitment to step in with that front foot as well there, which is what she needs to do here. She's touching, but you see when she's throwing that right hand, she's reaching with a shot, and that's why she's losing her balance, but also leaving herself very vulnerable and open to the shots.
But of the two in this round so far, she is the more proactive, she is the more aggressive. She started the round well, though, Tatar, with that combination, that couple to the body, but when there's not much to pick between fighters in terms of punches landed, and that's what you're always looking for as a judge. That's all that matters, who lands what and what effect does it have. But when it's difficult to do that, then judges will favour the fighter who was on the front foot more.
Yep, totally agree, and that's where we are with this one, a real seesaw of a contest where no one is really taking control, stamping their authority on the contest, and they're boxing in little snippets, really. And that's, there we saw Safronova just trying to rush in, trying to steal that last 10 seconds. Will that be enough to win the round? And that's pretty much where we're at with this one, Andy. You know, do you go for Safronova, who had her good spells, landed some good shots, or Tatar, who actually had a good start to the round, but didn't really produce much after that?
No, there's been some tricky rounds to score in this fight. I mean, you can have 4-0 either way or anything in between, to be honest. It's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah, I now got it two rounds apiece at the moment. I've got this 2-round contest here. This fight can be won and lost for me in those last 2 rounds. But like you say, Andy, it's one of those subjective scoring, what you're looking at. Tatar could be 4 rounds to nil up, or Safronova can be 4 rounds to nil up. It's one of those contests where we've just not seen enough. You know, I want to see a little something now, you know. Safronova is up off her stool, she's shadow boxing, she's punching. Let's see a bit of action in there. Let's see you let those hands go now. Take a chance, take the gamble, because that's what you're going to need to do.
So into the 5th. And the arena just filling up all the time. Another look at Tyson Fury there between rounds. We were asking him earlier if he's happily retired or could he be coming back. He described himself as the boomerang. He always comes back at some point, so that didn't do an awful lot to dispel the belief that it's not going to be a permanent retirement. We thought we might see Anthony Joshua out here this week, and it would have been interesting to hear what those two might have had to say to each other. AJ unfortunately couldn't make it, but the rumours will persist around Fury for a long time. A long right hand there.
I think the shot
landed on Tatar, and a delayed reaction almost, and she ended up going down. Our inside photographer was right between myself and the action, but it was a slightly strange knockdown there.
Well, she appreciated that she was knocked down. She, you know, she didn't have any arguments about it. There was a definite delayed reaction there. It was, like you say, a lovely straight right hand that went through the middle, and it had a delayed effect, didn't it?
So that's a significant blow landed, though, by Safronova.
Yep, you're talking about Tyson Fury. He was up on the stage today at the press conference, and you see a little glint in his eye when asked, is he definitely permanently retired? Is he coming back? And the IBA president actually asked him and put it to him, if there was enough money on the table for you and Anthony Joshua, could we see it on this platform? And the answer from Tyson Fury, show me the money!
That's been something he said a lot recently, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think it's the end of him. I don't think we'll see the end of him. Yes, he's enjoying retirement at the moment, but I think we see the big man back in the ring.
Well, Tatar just gesturing to a referee there that there was a clash of heads, and there is a slight little nick on the corner of the right eyebrow there of Safronova. But that was a good round for Safronova. She scored a knockdown, so that will be a 10-8 round in her favour, which is a major step towards winning the fight. It was that long right hand that put Tatar down. It'd be good to get another look at it. As I mentioned, there are photographers on the loose on our side of the ring, which there isn't normally, so I didn't get the greatest view of it.
Yeah, well, Tatar is very disheartened with that. She walked back to the corner, the head was down. The corner man has literally just thrown water in her face there, trying to really pump her up, doing what a good corner man would do. He knows she's feeling sorry for herself, and that's a horrible place for a fighter to be in a corner. When you're down, you're feeling sorry for yourself, and you look across the ring and you see Safronova up on her feet, bouncing. She's really in a good headspace right now. And Tatar, the only advice for her here is to go out there, and she's really got to put it in there, make or break time here, because that 10-8 round, she's fallen well behind on the scorecards.
So into the 6th and final round, just pushing off maybe with the forearm, the heel of the glove there, Safronova. The referee just having a word, though, with Tatar, and Safronova looking to increase the tempo here, which is something we've been looking for the last 2-3 rounds. It has been a bit messy at times. The head's coming together on the inside. You can see that nick on the corner of the right eye there as Safronova. I think there might be something on the corner of the left eye of Tatar as a tangle on the inside again.
Yeah, just seems the legs seem to be a little bit weak, don't they, of Tatar? She sort of goes over quite easily. Maybe still feeling the effects of that knockdown, I'm not sure, but yeah, the balance is not quite there from Tatar. And Safronova is dominating this last round.
So she's just been taken to the corner here, Safronova. The referee's just having a look at, I think, a nick on the corner of the right eye now. They've come together quite often. The styles just haven't really meshed or blended throughout the course of this one. And there's that right to the body again. She threw that with the very first punch of the fight, just dipped her knees through that right hand long in towards the midriff. The referee just having another little word there as we enter into the final minute of this contest. Yep. Safronova has finished strong enough here to get this one.
Yep, she certainly has. You know, it's one of those fights where no one really wanted to commit in the first half of the fight, and we didn't know which way the rounds were going. They could have gone one way or the other, but I think it's been a dominant second half of the contest from Safronova, who's gone out there. She's taken the control of it. She's done what she had to do, and she's dominating this last round. And you just feel that Tatar now, the fight has slipped away from her as that bell comes closer.
So closing stages of this 6-rounder in the super lightweight division. And there goes the bell. And you can see the damage on the right eye there of Safronova. Nico Ali Walsh and Conor Benn in the front row there. Nico Ali Walsh was doing a touch of modelling earlier on. We had a fashion show at the press conference. Naomi Campbell was sat in the front row, and on a list of things I never thought would happen to me, sharing a stage with Naomi Campbell, Spencer, was right up there, to be honest.
Honestly, it was one of those pinch yourself moments. You just thought, when, you know, I mean, yeah, they're trying to put their own flip on it here in boxing, and they've done a great job. And it's not just the people that we've got here in the boxers, the current boxers, and past great boxers that we've had. But, you know, what they've been doing here, we had a fashion show. That's right, you heard it right there. A fashion show straight after the press conference. And you've got the likes of Naomi Campbell here, and just like, you just go, what is going on? What is going on? I mean, not in a bad way, it's in a very good way, because like, we like change. But yeah, it's been a real eye-opener. I think that the IBA, you know, they've done a great job here, and you know, we've got some brilliant fights on. We've even got a bare knuckle fight coming up, guys, as well. 2 of those, I believe, Andy, and a real barnstormer for a top of a bill. Really looking forward to this.
And Safronova will have done enough there, I'm sure, when we get the scorecard through. And Tatar, as I say, achieved so much earlier in her career, has been very inactive of late, looking to try and make that comeback, and ran into someone maybe a bit too fresh for her.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the winner by a unanimous judgment call, in the black corner from Kazakhstan, Safronova.
So So Safronova gets it, as we knew that she would, and you can tell by how pleased she is about that on her IBA.PRO debut. That gives you an idea of the respect that she has for somebody like Ulsum Tatar. That was the name she really wanted to get on her record. It was maybe a bit too respectful between them in the first 3 or 4 rounds, but towards the end, Safronova just put her foot to the floor, and Tatar just couldn't really stay with her.
Yep. And you sort of totally get it. You know, you get girls that can both boxing at a decent level, and they didn't really want to commit because they know they make a fundamental mistake and they get made to pay the price for that one. So you're just waiting to see an opportunity. You're trying to be creative, find that opening, and it just went on a little too long with both girls just looking and holding back and waiting. But in the end, Safronova, she went and done what she had to do. She was up on her toes, landing the cleanest shots. Great performance by both girls, and a well-earned victory from Safronova.
And as you mentioned, we've got a bare knuckle contest up next as we look back on some of the highlights of that previous bout that we've just watched. And that's going to be an interesting experience for the both of us because we've only ever commentated on professional boxing or amateur boxing. Bare knuckle is one of these entities whereby we've never been really sure what it is, to be honest, because it's never seen that regulated or codified. It's got a little bit of an underground reputation, but actually, when you strip it back, it's what boxing originally was before it entered the glove era back in 1891 it was, with the Marquis of Queensberry rules. And I think what the IBA are looking to do is give bare knuckle, for want of a better word, a bit of a makeover, a rebrand, make people understand that if you want to compete in this sport, then you need to be a highly trained, very skilled athlete, which all 4 of the fighters we've got here tonight absolutely are. It's got that more brutal element to it because there are no gloves. It's over 2-minute rounds, and I'm looking forward to seeing it because this is an area that they feel they can really branch out into. It won't be for everybody, but at the same time, it does give fighters more chance to earn a living.
Yep, there's definitely an appetite for bare knuckle boxing at the moment. The TalkSport Boxing YouTube channel viewers, they're appreciating it. It's growing on there, and it's going to be interesting to see. Because I'm with you, Andy. Like, we've never really dipped our toe into this, and I don't know where I'm at with it. I'm going into unknown territory, but I'm excited to see it for sure.
2-minute rounds for the IBA bare knuckle in 77 kilograms division. And now, please welcome to the black corner from Kazakhstan, Mikhail Kakhanchik.
And as I mentioned, the competitor we've got tonight are very experienced, skilled fighters, skilled boxers. He's boxed internationally as an amateur, Kakhanchik. Won the Stranded tournament, or competed in the Stranded tournament twice. The World Cup of Petroleum Countries, a big tournament in Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and a runner-up in the Kazakh Nationals. 6-1 in pro boxing, last fought with gloves on in November 2023. This is his bare knuckle debut.
And now, introducing his opponents in the gold corner, from Russia, Elnur Suleymanov.
Suleymanov joins us from Baku in Azerbaijan, and he was an international amateur too. Has been in with some big names actually. Alexander Kishniak, Suleiman Sissoko, Israel Madrimov. 2 fights in pro boxing, a defeat and the draw. In bare knuckle, he lost on points over 3 in Moscow 4 years ago, and then in April this year won by 2nd round knockout in Dubai. So he's the more experienced of the 2 in this code. 3 2-minute rounds.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing to first fighting out of the back corner. He's 26 years old, standing 199 centimeters tall, official weight 79 kilograms silver. His boxing professional record, 6 victories and 1 defeat. Bare knuckle record, 1 win, 2 losses. Ladies and gentlemen, he's multiple winner and runner-up of Kazakhstan Boxing Championships. Champion of the All Countries Boxing Cup multiple champion and winner of the international and national boxing tournament, representing Rukny, Kazakhstan, here is Mikhail Kokhanchik.
And in the gold corner, 32 years old, 180 centimeters tall, 78.5 kilo, with 6 wins and 3 losses, 3-time champion of Azerbaijan, best boxer of Azerbaijan in 2019, finalist in the World Martial Arts Games, from Russia, Ernur Suleymanov. Your referee, from Bulgaria, Mario Ivanov.
Okay, guys, you've been instructed in the dressing room for the rules. You know the rules, touch gloves, Richard? Okay, touch.
So, touch of fists between the two. We usually say a touch of gloves, but no gloves in this. This is bare knuckle, and going through the resumes of these two fighters, it's what I was talking about. They both box pro, they both box at a really good level as an amateur, but taking the opportunity here to box bare knuckle. 3 2-minute rounds in the white Suleymanov, in the black Kokhanchik. Both of these two just shaping, just in and out with that front foot at the moment, Kokhanchik. Suleymanov more just hanging on that back foot.
Yeah, Kokhanchik just trying to control that range at the moment, just trying to find the range with that jab, not willing to commit with that backhand, because once you do that, you're in range and you're vulnerable. Kokhanchik was the guy, Suleymanov was the guy that committed there with that backhand, but you have to be careful in doing that, especially with bare knuckle boxing.
And what's interesting about this is, when people look at this, when they consider it, if you like, the question you're asking yourself is, how does somebody's jaw stand up to getting hit without a glove on? But those gloves are just as much about protecting the hands as they are about the other person's face. And how do your hands stand up to landing one without a glove on?
Great point. You know, when you've got gloves on, and listen, I can talk about this firsthand, you've got gloves on, you hit the top of the head, it really does kill, you know, over time. So doing it with bare hands, you know, that's something else.
Good stiff jab there, good stiff jab, and that just has brought a bit of blood from the eye there of Suleymanov.
Yeah, Suleymanov picked up quite a bad cut there. The blood flowing into the eye.
And that's the difference, really. If you land a good, solid shot without that glove on, then the chances are it's going to do some damage.
And look at the difference now in body language. Kokhanchik up on his toes, he fancies this and works well off that jab again, and that can be the difference. Even that jab, when you're landing with the bare hand, that's the difference, you know. Solid shots are going to cause problems. Good right hand there on the belt, though. Oh, big hook!
And then the left come back there from Kokhanchik and knocked Suleymanov down. He went for that right hand over the top, which did land, as Spencer described it. Then he came straight back with a left and put Suleymanov down. The final few seconds of the round, there goes the bell. And that's the interesting thing about this, just from watching that opening round, and it's the first round I've ever commentated on bare knuckle. They're looking to pick their punches, they're looking to be sparing. You can't just go in there and swing, because the consequences of getting clipped are just far too serious. He's been hit with one solid jab, and that's opened up that cut there. Then right at the end of the round, he got hit with a solid left hook, and down he went.
Yep, Suleymanov paid the price there. Like you say, Andy, I think that it's much more strategic, because if you make one little fundamental mistake, you pay the price, and there's serious consequences. You know, we're not talking about bruised eyes, we're talking about cuts opening up here. Kokhanchik's up on his toes, he's feeling good, but he's working the range very well there. And Suleymanov is the guy that's really marked up there. He's going to have to be careful here in the second round.
A little bit of damage on the inside of the nose, around the bridge of the nose towards the right eye, as we get underway in round 2. And there's a good level of technical ability being shown by these two, as we would expect, given the resume. He's looking for that long right hand again there, Suleymanov. Didn't quite manage to land it, but got that guard up. And you look at Kokancic, he's quite fast twitch, isn't he? He's got good, quick hands, and again, he lands a left hand there, and you can see the blood in the eye is becoming a problem here for Sulaimanov, and Kokancic just looking to set his feet and let those hands go, and this is exactly where you cannot find yourself.
Face really swollen up now as well over the eyes there. Sulaimanov looking seriously marked up, and you just wonder how long he's going to be able to continue. He's showing a lot of heart, a lot of character, pushing forward, but it's been some boxing display so far from Kokancic, who's up on his toes and using that range so well.
And the problem he's got here, Sulaimanov, as well, is that right eye is closing. It's not completely closed, but the vision will be slightly obscured, and that just makes things even more difficult. There's not a mark on Kokancic, whose movement has been really, really good. His hand speed has been good, and his accuracy has been good. It's been all round a very good performance so far.
It really has. And look at the way he's just controlling things now, keeping it at range. He knows he's got his man busted up. Doesn't want to take any chances. That eye really is looking bad, Andy.
It is, into the final 30 seconds of round two. And Kokancic knows that he doesn't have to do anything crazy here. He just has to wait for an opportunity, almost, because he's well in control here. He's well in charge, and that's another aspect to it. You can never switch off at any point here. You get caught with something, even half caught with something, it can do you some real damage.
I think that's the excitement about this sport, is that, you know, it's like one little mistake, half a little mistake, and you pay the price. But good 2 rounds there from Kokancic, who walks back to his corner unmarked, looking very pleased with himself. And you look over into the opposite corner, Sulaimanov he's looking busted up, man.
He is. And when he had the opportunity in that round, Kokancic, he took it. And that's another key, isn't it? When you land something, you've got to follow it up. You've got to follow it up, and you've got to really, really make it count. Because when he backed him up to the ropes on the far side, and he's just trying to cover up, when you're just trying to cover up without those much bigger gloves on to give you that surface area to protect yourself, it's just not as easy to do. Yeah. When you have the advantage, you've got to press it home.
Absolutely. You know, like you say, you've got to be so defensively minded there, but it's not easy to do without the gloves.
They're just checking that he can see okay out of that eye, the referee there. He put his hand over the left eye and asked him, you know, can you see out of the right eye, and had a good look himself to satisfy himself, the referee, that is the case, because you ask a fighter that question and they'll say yes. It's pointless asking them.
Listen, absolutely, you know, the gladiators. Oh, big right hand there.
Really was, just caught Kokancic on the move. He doesn't seem to be too marked up from it. Maybe just took the sting off it. He was skirting across the ropes as it was thrown. And he's maybe slightly unfortunate there, Sulaimanov, that didn't do a bit more damage, because it looked pretty solid from where we are.
Yeah, it was a lovely shot, and I think that Kokancic was maybe just riding it, but Sulaimanov would take a little bit of hope from that. But now look at what's going on. Kokancic controlling that space again, pushing forward, up on his toes. And the distance, the judgment of distance here for Kokancic is the thing that's winning in this fight, because the range here is perfect and is making it so difficult for Sulaimanov to get in range and land anything significant.
Well, this is clever from Kokancic, isn't it? Because he's deliberately just out of range a lot of the time. He'll fire out that jab nice and quick, and it comes back quick too, and it doesn't quite reach, so he doesn't leave himself in danger, but it's enough to occupy his opponent and keep him off it.
Yeah, it certainly is. You know, it's been a great performance here from Kokancic, who's controlled this at range on the inside and going for the big finish as well. Sulaimanov needs to come back with something.
Went down to the body there, Kokancic, as well, which is often the neglected area in bare knuckle, but those body shots without the glove, wow, they would dig.
Oh, the solid jab again there, just rammed in the face of Sulaimanov, and he really felt the weight of that one.
It's been a good watch, this, because, as we've been saying, it's a good level of technical ability, particularly by Kokancic, who gets caught with a right hand there right towards the end, but ever since he landed that really stiff jab, and you just saw that cut open up, since then he's been on top. He's been on top the whole fight, and that was a very good performance from him.
Yeah, Kokancic completely dominated that one, started fast, marked his opponent up, and Sulaimanov was always on the end of something very, very tough. Then whatever he tried, he was coming forward, holding his feet falling in with his shots, leaving himself open for the counter punch. And yeah, the better boxing skills won that from Kokanchik, but they both showed great character and a lot of courage in there. Shulimanov, he could have ducked out of that, Andy. The face was bashed up, the eyes were bleeding heavily. There were times there when he must have been asking himself serious questions, but what he done was he showed a lot of courage, and you have to appreciate that.
That was Batyrgaziev backstage not long before we see him. And what was interesting about watching that for me was seeing up close the difference in the kind of dynamic. In pro boxing, it's a high failure rate sport. Most of what you throw won't land, but a lot of the time you'll just throw anyway. You don't ever want to get hit back in return, but they throw punches more sparingly because the consequences of being hit and being hit clean is just that much greater. And then when you do get a chance, when you do get through, you have to pounce, you can't mess around.
Ladies and gentlemen, after the end of action, your winner by unanimous decision, Mikhail Kokanchik, Kazakhstan. And the applause for his opponent, Elnur Suleymanov.
Just posing for a few pictures.
Yeah, cracking little contest, that one. A new experience for both of us, to be honest. Didn't know what to expect. I've seen a little bit of it on TV. First time I've actually seen it live. I enjoyed it. I think there's a lot more technical side to it, and I think that what the IBA are trying to achieve here is showing, you know, their bare knuckle boxing. There is a home for it, and I think that, yeah, I think the crowd enjoyed it.
I think what they're keen to emphasise that it is boxing. It's the same rules, and if you want to succeed, then you have to be a highly trained, disciplined athlete. And there's our left-hander put him down. That smearing left-hander put him down, and you look at the ability that these two displayed, and there's a nice stiff jab again, and this was where he was backed up to the ropes, and Kokanchik just didn't panic, kept his distance, and let his hands go. As we said at the start, that we might be being unfair here, I don't know, because we've been on the outside of this, but it had an image problem, bare knuckle. People would look at it and feel that it was a bit underground. What are the rules? Are there any rules? That's ignorance on my part, to be honest with you, but that's one thing they wanted to make very, very clear today, is that this is a proper sport and this is how it has to be treated.
Yeah, but I think what the IBA were trying to achieve is saying this is where it all started, this is what it is, and let's combine the two together to show that there is a home for bare knuckle boxing. Yeah, we enjoyed that one, we really did.
And as we said, it won't be for everybody, but it's up to the individual what they choose to tune into. And we've got one more bare knuckle fight on the card this evening. We've got two pro fights of Hannes Batyrgaziev up against Zolisani Undongeni. That's going to be an interesting fight. I saw Batyrgaziev a lot in the amateurs. He's always been someone who caught my eye. Very, very good to watch. A pressure fighter, gets right on top of you in that pocket, throws bundles of punches. And there's a look at some of the big name fighters we've had around over the last couple of days. And top of the bill, we've got Batyrgaziev up against Jazza Dickens. That is a good fight. It really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, and right now the time for the title bout. 8 rounds of boxing for the WBA Continental and IBA.PRO Intercontinental Super Lightweight Championship.
This is the 5th and WBA Continental Super Lightweight and IBA.PRO Intercontinental match. In the black corner, from South Africa, Zolisani Undongeni.
He's an experienced guy, Undongeni. He's come into this one at fairly short notice. A fighter who is fair to say is easier to judge off the back of his defeats than his wins. He's won a couple of national titles, but he's been in with the likes of Devin Haney, Ernesto Mercado, Arnold Barboza, Raymond Murataya, has lost all of those fights, but has been a distance a couple of times. And then he pulled off a big away win in March this year by split decision over 10 rounds against a 23-0 Nestor Bravo. That was on the undercard of Gabriel Matias against Gabriel Valenzuela. So that has really given him a little bit of a shot in the arm, and he was happy to take this. He knows that Batyrgaziev brings a big reputation, but he knows that also in the pro ring, he is the more experienced of the two.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the gold corner from Armenia, Batyrgaziev.
Batyrgazev's pro career has been a little bit of a slow burn as an amateur. He was a nearly man. He won't thank me for saying it, but he was, because he picked up 4 bronze medals in Amateur World Championships, an Olympic bronze medal as well, and he was around in the 60-kilo division at the same time as the likes of Andy Cruz and Keyshawn Davis, and he kept running into them in the semi-finals and losing good fights. And then he ran into an Uzbek fighter called Ruslan Abdullayev in the World Championships in 2023, who has turned pro now, a very, very good fighter. There's a lot to like about him. He's undefeated as a pro, and if he can get regular activity, then he can really start to move. He's got that kind of style where he hasn't really needed to change it all that much from the amateurs. He's just had to adapt it to the longer duration.
Ladies and gentlemen, your officials. Supervisor, WBA from Spain, Carlos Chavez. Supervisor, IBA.PRO from Moldova, Maxim Chertykovsev. 3 judges at ringside scoring this title bout. From Panama, Tadeo Rodriguez. Also from Panama, Gustavo Padilla. From France, Stefan Nicole. Timekeeper, Serdar Hamraev, Turkmenistan. And the bell rings, your refereeing judge from Italy, Luigi Boscarelli.
Introducing, in the black corner, 35 years old, 171 centimeters tall, 64.3 kilogram, professional career of 33 wins and 6 losses, WBA Intercontinental and IBO World Tournament winner, from South Africa, Shalasani
Ladies and gentlemen, and his opponent at wrestling, fighting out of the gold corner. He's 32 years old, standing 173 centimeters tall, weighing at 63.5 kilograms. He's perfect professional record, 7 victories, including 6 big wins coming by way of knockout, no losses. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Tokyo Olympic Games bronze prize winner, 2-time European champion, and 4-time Romanian national champion, representing legendary Golden Ring Club Dubai, representing Gyumri Armenia. Here is Hannes undefeated Batyrgaziev.
So there's the introductions, and in the corner there with Batyrgaziev is Albert Arapetian, who will be cornering Albert Batyrgaziev. Jazza Dickens, I beg your pardon, later on against Albert Batyrgaziev. He's had a few trainers, Batyrgaziev. It's been that kind of a career. He was with Danny Vaughan for a while. He's based out in Dubai, actually. And then Manny Robles, he would travel over to California to train with Robles, who rated him very, very highly. As our announcer said, he is also a 2-time European amateur champion, but he's looking to really try and make his mark in the professional ring. Keeping the two going concurrently, which he has done, is possible these days, of course, and very tempting because of the prize money, but it's difficult, Spencer, because we've seen with someone like Jalolov as well, the big Uzbek super heavyweight, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and he's done more than he has there as a pro, because you can't give both of them full force. It's not really doable, is it? And it'd be good with someone like Batyrgaziev just to see him get really active and just see what he can do, because he's 32 years old now.
Yep, absolutely. 7-0 as a pro, 6 of those inside the distance, and like you say, Andy, it's all about opportunity and being gifted that opportunity. He's not had that yet, 32 years of age, tried to put the foot on the gas. But as you say, he does have a wealth of talent. Very unfortunate as an amateur to come up against the quality that he did, but still achieved a lot, and he's looking to kick on now. And a great opportunity against a very experienced opponent.
Decent jab there from Batyrgaziev. Undongeni right at the very start. Look for that long right hand and did manage to land it. But this is what Batyrgaziev does. He's got that tight guard. He drops the elbows in, manages to cover the head and the torso. He'll dip those knees. He'll keep that front foot pressure on you and look to work in that kind of tight semicircle around you.
Yep,
it doesn't look all that explosive, but it's just constant. That front foot pressure is constant.
Walking his opponent down, just making him work all the time. Physically very strong. Controls the space well, and as you say, unusually long arms. He gets to cover the top of his head there, and the elbows tucked in as well. Very difficult guy to break through that defence, and counters very well, and that's all about the timing there. Keeps those hands well. See that half a little step back, just looking to counter, and Undongeni has to be careful with that.
And of those stoppages that he's had, a good number have come with body punching. That left hand to the body in particular that we saw there, that brought a smile there from Undongeni. He's looking nice and composed in there. As you mentioned, Spencer, he is a very experienced fighter. He's been in with some good names. He won't be intimidated by Batyrgaziev, not one bit, but he'll have to find a way to discourage Batyrgaziev, to catch him, hit him hard enough on the way in to make him respect the power that he has. That's the challenge, really, against somebody like this.
Absolutely, and Undongeni has to be very, very clever, very cautious, and choose when to throw those attacks, because Batyrgaziev just stalking forward, making him work, pinning, taking him from corner to corner. Dangerous to the uppercut there. Just look at the shot selection, switching the attacks to the body as well. Undongeni going to be put under a lot of pressure tonight, that's for sure.
So closing stages of round one. Batyrgaziev looking to try and let go with that right, followed by a left, but good defence there from Undongeni. Blocked the first one, took the second on the shoulder. And not much in that opening round. Undongeni throwing plenty, mostly keeping it a little bit longer, a little bit on the outside. And there is the aforementioned Naomi Campbell next to Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford could look a bit more excited about seeing next to Naomi Campbell there, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I think he's just playing his cool cards, isn't he? He's keeping his cards close to his chest. Yeah, I mean, he's a cool cat, Terence Crawford. He's been brilliant out here, actually. He's been very good, and talked about the fight coming up with Canelo Alvarez, how he's going to win that, a meat fire with fire. Everyone thinks he's going to box his way to a points decision. He's got other ideas about that, but there's something special, something very special. We don't get him coming around many times in a lifetime, but Terence Crawford is that guy. He's a guy that I believe would live with any welterweight in any era. I think he is that good. I've seen, you know, and if anyone's going to do it against Canelo right now, for me, it would be Terence Crawford.
It is a massive, massive ask, but I absolutely do give him a chance. A two-weight undisputed champion, that's an extraordinary achievement in itself, but to jump up all the way to super middleweight and take that crown from the Mexican would be astonishing, frankly, but it's set to be an incredible occasion. Into the second round here, Batyrgaziev looking to try and let go with that left hand early in the round.
Yep, just looking to create an opening here, Batyrgaziev, as he stalks forward. Look at that lovely short right hand on the inside there as well. Yeah, stalks forward, hands held high, but very cute in his movements, just slipping from side to side, and if he sees an opening, the execution's brilliant.
Just firing that lead left, that long right here on Undongeni, doing the right thing, just trying to keep Batyrgaziev off him, keep him at distance. Batyrgaziev in and out with the front foot, dipped his knees and then whipped that right hand into the body. That was clever.
Yeah, you're right, Andy, and Undongeni is coping well under this pressure, though. He looks very comfortable. Lovely little 1-2 from him there as well.
There's that left to the body and then hooked up to the head off the back of it from Batyrgaziev. He's landed a couple of solid shots on Undongeni. He's taken them well enough.
He's not having a bad round, though, Undongeni. He's letting the shots go. He's trying to match Batyrgaziev for the shots.
That left hook upstairs just moved Ndongaini a little bit. Again, he was down to the body, then up to the head. And that's his signature kind of move, really. And then plants that jab just straight through the guard. He's just upped the tempo a little bit here in the second minute of this second round here, Batyrgaziev.
He really has. He's a physical presence about him, isn't there? He's sort of controlling that space very well, making Ndongaini work very, very hard. Got caught with a shot there, though, and Ndongaini landing a lovely little short left hook over the top. That will give him hope.
And that's good from Ndongaini. He just stepped off to his left-hand side, landed the left to the body, then fired in with the right. That's good from Ndongaini again. He was backed up to the ropes. Batyrgaziev was looking to try and pick a punch and was maybe just slightly laboured about it. And he fired off a 2-3 punch combination.
Yeah, not having a bad round here in Ndongaini. He's putting the shots together well. And just as I say that, Batyrgaziev comes in with a lovely uppercut, switches the attack to the body as well.
Final few seconds of round two, Batyrgaziev with a right-hand lead and then walks back to his corner, even though the bell hasn't actually gone yet. He's decided that the round has ended. I think it's going to any time now. There we go. It's an interesting round, that, because Ndongaini did some good work in that round, but Batyrgaziev did up the pace, didn't he? And he's always looking to make you work harder than you want to work. And in the mould of some other fighters we see from Eastern Europe, Central Asia down the years, they just look to click things up round by round, increase the heat in that kitchen and see if you can stay with them.
Yeah, but I think that was the difference between winning and losing that round there. The Batyrgaziev just knew when to turn the screw, and he had that little spell, that little moment, landed the eye-catching shots. Ndongaini, he played his part in it there. He was solid and he coped under the pressure very well, but the eye-catching stuff coming from Batyrgaziev and maybe just seeing that on my scorecard as well. Interesting contest this one. You feel there's still a few twists and turns to come, but high quality.
Round three.
So into the third, Zolisani and Ndongaini in the black and gold, Hofhannes Batyrgaziev in the white and gold. They're scheduled for 8. In the super lightweight division.
Batyrgaziev starting this third round like he started the first two, on the front foot, stalking forward, trying to make Ndongaini work at a pace that he doesn't want to work at. But Ndongaini has had his moments in that second round. He can try and build on that, although he was caught with a good right hand over the top there, though. And there's a good response.
Just set his feet and let his own hands go. And this is at a really interesting point in this fight, because Batyrgaziev, as we say, is trying to bring that heat. Ndongaini will have felt it at times. He's been hit clean a couple of times. The left hook maybe moved him a bit in that previous round, but it could be that he's thinking to himself, this is okay, power-wise, this is not a particularly big problem, and maybe I now need to try and put a little bit more mustard on my own shots. You don't want to get into some kind of a trade-up with Batyrgaziev, but you don't want to let him dictate terms either, and this is getting interesting.
Well, you say you don't want to get into a sort of trade-up with him, but Ndongaini, is taking it there, and he's trying to have a trade-up with the body shots. Andy, I think have got through here. He's felt the weight of one of those. Left hook went under the elbows there.
A right hand came back there from Ndongaini. He was round about the hip. I think he was just trying to land anything he could to take a bit of steam out of Batyrgaziev. And just as I was saying it, he did seem to want to try and open up. A couple of uppercuts have had an effect there. You can see the legs just loosen slightly. A long right hand and another right hand lands, and he's banging trouble here. And Ndongaini in the corner, and looking like they might be about to throw the towel here. The trainer was just off his seat away to my right hand side, but he's getting worked over here. He really is. I said it was at an interesting stage, and it's proved to be just so. And Batyrgaziev, he lays that groundwork. He did that for the first couple of rounds, but he's got accurate, spiteful hands. And if Ndongaini can ride this one out and make it through to the end of the round, then he will have done well. It's going to take a lot out of him this round, though.
Yep, it certainly would have. The body shots were key there. from Batyrgaziev. And Ndongeni, oh, body shot slams in again, and to be fair, he's showing character, he's gritting his teeth, biting down his gum shield here. Ndongeni, because there was a moment there where I thought he was unravelling and he might come to pieces, but he's regrouped a bit.
It absolutely did look like that. He did well to stay up from those couple of uppercuts. Every now and again, you just see the kind of rigidity leave a fighter, and then they get it back together really, really quickly. The powers of recovery are amazing. Ndongeni just trying to pile in behind that right hand. Final few seconds of round 3, and there goes the bell. And an interesting round to watch that, because just as Batyrgaziev got on top of him, I was wondering if Ndongeni was thinking to himself that he might be able to be slightly more ambitious himself, but maybe it's a case he just got a little bit greedy then, and he left a few openings and he paid the price.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Ndongeni, we know he's tough, he's got experience, he's been around a long, long time, and he needed that experience there. He showed a lot of character. As I say, the body shots were especially effective. They really went in, those body shots. The left hooks were being slammed in, the right hooks as well. Good round there from Batyrgaziev, but Ndongeni, he regrouped Andy at the end of the round with about 30 seconds to go, got himself back in there and showed that there's still a lot of fire left in the dog.
Batyrgaziev just up off his stool there, but the pressure from him is not going to decrease. I've seen him a lot, and he's not in the habit of taking rounds off, so Ndongeni is going to have to just dig in there, stick in there, and see what he can get done. Looks for a right hand early in the round.
Yeah, well, that's what he needs to do here, Ndongeni. If he wants to get himself back into this one, he has to gain the respect here of Batyrgaziev. He needs to land something significant. He's got to be a little more creative, because Batyrgaziev stalking forward, hands held wide, covered the torso area well, and the head as well. So he's got to be creative, set some traps, try and draw the lead of Batyrgaziev and make him pay.
And from Batyrgazev's point of view in that previous round, there was good composure from him, because he let his hands go, put those punches together. As you said, it looked like Ndongeni might be about to go, but he didn't. And he didn't go absolutely crazy, Batyrgaziev, and empty the tank looking for the stoppage. He would have felt himself, maybe he's not quite ready. Didn't exactly pull off him, but just thought, I don't need to do it this round. There's plenty of time left yet.
Yeah, got to be careful you don't blow a gasket. And that's exactly what he done there, used his experience, Batyrgaziev, because you know with your opponent, you feel them unravelling a little bit, you hear little noises on the inside, the little shots that go in, and that's when you know to put your foot on the gas. And he clearly never felt that one, and he's sensibly gone back to his boxing, because Ndongeni is a tough, tough cookie, and you can't give him any sort of opportunity.
That's a decent combination from him, but Batyrgaziev tucking up fairly effectively. The corner were close to throwing the towel at one point. One of the seconds was on his feet, just a couple of yards away to my right-hand side with a towel in the hand at one stage off the back of those two uppercuts, but he came through it, Ndongeni, and he's giving a good account of himself in round 4 here so far, just over a minute remaining.
Yep, just trying to take the fight, the space away here from Batyrgaziev, and that's what he needs to do. Batyrgaziev has been predominantly on that front foot, and I think for Ndongeni, he needs to now take control of that ring, of that space, and make sure he doesn't get caught in the process.
That's the thing, isn't it? We spoke about this in an earlier fight. He does need to be aggressive, he does need to earn that respect, demand that respect, but in doing that, he will leave gaps, and that's what Batyrgaziev wants.
Absolutely. And the body shot there again just slammed into the rib cage of Ndongeni. Lovely shot, but he took it well.
There's that ripping kind of left to the stomach there from Batyrgaziev as well, who could maybe make more use of that jab, because there's no real tell on it. He just plants it straight out. There's no kind of twitch of the shoulder or elbow. Getting up towards the halfway stage here, but a good fight this, a good fight to watch.
Yep, high quality from both guys. And Ndongeni showed us why he's been around so long, why he's been boxing at such a level, because he's a tough kid. You know, body shots have been slamming in, he's taken them well. He unravelled a little bit, pulled himself back in the fight, and he's still in the fight. The scorecards for me not really telling the story. I've got Batyrgaziev now running away, a clear leader. but that's because he's been catching the eye-catching stuff. The body shots have been especially effective, landing them well. No short uppercuts on the inside as well. Shot selection's been good. Another round in the bank there from Batyrgaziev. As Jazza Dickens appears on our screen, we're going to be seeing him very, very shortly.
In with Albert Batyrgaziev. It's a very, very good fight, that. Batyrgaziev, undefeated Olympic gold medalist, the first pro actually to win an Olympic gold medal back in Tokyo 2020. I've seen it from ringside a couple of times against John O'Carroll last year, was one of them, and he's got a lot of tools. But there is something going on with the punch resistance. He's very offensive, and I think sometimes he walks into shots he doesn't really see. He's been clipped and touched down, not really been knocked down, but touched down 3 times in a couple of fights I've covered of his, very nearly a 4th time, and it occurred to me that if he walked onto one from a slightly bigger puncher, then you might go down and you might not get back up. So there are some vulnerabilities there, and Dickens coming into that off the back of a massive win, of course, against Zelfa Barrett. So that's our top of the bill. We're into the second half of this one, scheduled for 10, into round 5, in fact, between Hovhannes Batyrgaziev and Zolashani Undongeni, who again just looking to work those hands. Undongeni, try and keep it nice and loose so he can punch without taking too much out of himself.
Yep, he knows he's got to do something here. If he wants to try and win this one, Undongeni, he will know he's behind on points, and probably at this stage will need something really big, a knockdown at least, to try and turn this around. And to his credit, he's letting those hands go.
There's that short right hand from Batyrgaziev. Just checking the chin there of Undongeni.
Both guys just selecting to sit in the pocket a little bit here. Neither man wants to give up ground, although Batyrgaziev is on the front foot, and Undongeni, I think his idea was to hold ground. The screw shot just went through the guard there, just a nod of appreciation, never a good sign.
Left hand there from Batyrgaziev, and that screw shot you mentioned, you could just see Batyrgaziev just quicken up his feet and close in for a split second. I think he felt like he might have hurt this man slightly, and then I think had a look at him and changed his mind. Good body work there from Undongeni.
Yep, caught with a big right hand though before his successes to the body. He's a tough guy though, isn't he, Undongeni?
The original opponent here for Batyrgaziev was Shojihan Ergashev, who pulled out with, I think, damage to his hand and injury to his hand quite late on. And Undongeni, when I saw his name appear on the sheet, I did think that that was a good get, because he's a good fighter and he's a game fighter. He's not going to come here and tuck up and try and get through the rounds, and he absolutely hasn't tried to do that.
No, he's a great example of always keep yourself in shape, because opportunity does come, and there are too many fighters these days that have a fight and think they're going to have some time off, go and get out of shape, put on a bit of weight, and they're focusing too much then on losing the weight as opposed to what they're meant to be doing in their next contest. But Undongeni has clearly kept himself in shape for when that phone rings, opportunity, and you've got to take it. And he's delivered well here, Undongeni, and the scorecards are not reading, you know, in his favour, that's for sure, but he's certainly give it a go. Batyrgaziev really dominated, not dominated, that's the wrong word. He's winning most of the rounds, and that's why those clear shots like that lovely screw shot through the defence there, nod of appreciation from Undongeni. But look at the response there. He's a tough, tough cookie, and he really is.
What he's done well is he's just managed to keep those hands moving. He's managed to keep throwing and give Batyrgaziev something to think about, to occupy him. He hasn't really managed to hit him and stop him in his tracks or hurt him. That doesn't really seem to be in his locker. And if it isn't, then you've got to do what he's doing. You've got to be busy. But as we've been saying, that means that you take a chance, because you might leave yourself open. And when you watch Batyrgaziev, when you see him land, he just gets those leverages and biting points right so often, doesn't he?
Yeah,
and a lot of those punches might not look like the biggest shots you've ever seen, but they're having an effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the ones you don't see are the ones that have the effect. And he's very good at throwing little shots on the inside, whipping the body shots in as well. Batyrgaziev is a good little fighter, but I'm loving what Ndongani's doing here, because he's keeping himself in that fight, not losing heart, not losing spirit.
Going up and down with the jab, just flicking it up to the head 3, 4, 5 times, and then stabbing to the body. Does the same thing again there. And as we've been saying, that's what it's about for him. He's always giving Batyrgaziev something to think about. Climbed into a lead left hook and then spun a straight right hand off the back of it, which did land, but it didn't really get a blink from Batyrgaziev, and that's been the problem for Ndongani. And there's not an awful lot he can do about it, is that power-wise, he hasn't managed to really register on his opponent yet.
Yeah, and you just wonder whether that power actually exists with Ndongani. I just don't think that he carries that firepower. Lovely little short hook on the inside again there from Batyrgaziev. Ndongani took that shot well, but this is good action here from both guys.
Straight right hand there, and again from Batyrgaziev, just pops through the guard, but Ndongani back to the ropes. Every time he's felt his back to the ropes, he's looked to try and throw, because he knows that he cannot stay there. The one time that did end up happening, he was in an awful lot of trouble.
Yeah, he can't get too greedy here. Ndongani is sitting there allowing Batyrgaziev to get off with those shots, but that's where Batyrgaziev wants to be. He wants him in the pocket. He wants him to get greedy, sit there too long.
He's done well there, Ndongani, because he's just punched his way off the ropes there, and Batyrgaziev was happy to see him do it. But again, that's what the South African has shown us. A left hand there, quite high on the head from Batyrgaziev. A slight misstep there from Ndongani, but I don't think he was really hurt by it. Into the final minute of round 6. And since that torrid spell back in round 3, he's not had too many mishaps here on Ndongani, just doubling up on that right hand again, Batyrgaziev, and barreling him back into the ropes. And I think he'll look to put it on him here in the final 30 seconds. And Ndongani just a little bit wild. Batyrgaziev making a dent here again, I think, and he's still got a bit of time remaining in the round. And Ndongani needs to try and get off those ropes if he can, just get a little bit tighter. Stepped into the open ring here, but again, he's straight back to the ropes. Final 10 seconds.
Yeah, big finishing around here from Batyrgaziev. Good head movement as well, and he just feels he's in the right place at the right time. Ndongani trying to punch with him there, and that was not the right thing to do. Chin come up in the air. Momentum was with Batyrgaziev, and it was a great finish to the round. And you know what, before that I was thinking, Ndongani's not doing bad here. He's having a good round, he's landing some good shots. Just as you're thinking that, last 45 seconds or so to the round, that's what he had to deal with. Combinations, body shot going in. They've been landing from the beginning of this contest. And then those lovely short up combinations to the head. And they're travelling 6 inches, them shots, and then ones that you don't see, and the accumulation of them as well. So, trust me, they have an effect, and I think we saw that effect there with Ndongani. He gritted his teeth and stuck in there, but that was not easy for him.
I think accumulation is the key word there, because that's what you're up against Batyrgaziev. He is a volume fighter, and just as I was saying that Ndongani had managed to not just survive but box a decent fight since that 3rd round, since that rough passage in the 3rd round, and it hadn't happened really again since. Right on cue, he managed to find a way through. It's that kind of critical mass, isn't it? And maybe as the rounds tick down, that point might arrive earlier in each round. That will be what Batyrgaziev is hoping. And Ndongani's got to just keep doing what he's been doing, which is showing a ton of heart, some decent technique, and good work rate. Because as soon as his work rate dips, then he's in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I think he's showing so much character in there in Ndongani. He really is. I'm impressed, if I'm honest, because he's been under a lot of firepower. He's stuck to his games. Hasn't got disheartened, and he's still swinging, still hopeful that he can find something from somewhere, but it's going to have to be a little bit more of that. Let's see him go through the gears, maybe, change the angles.
But that was good from Ndongani. Fired off the combination. Most of it was taken on the gloves from Batyrgaziev, but it's occupying him.
That was a solid hook there. He says no, but trust me, he would have felt that one go right down to the soles of his boots. Lovely little shot.
Interesting to see Ben Whittaker on the far side of the ring there. He won a silver medal in Tokyo. He was on the same Olympic cycle as Batyrgaziev. He would have been in and around him at international tournaments an awful lot, so it's somebody that he'll know well, a long way apart in weight divisions, of course, but you get very familiar with people. It was interesting watching Batyrgaziev and Julio La Cruz and Erislandy Alvarez, the two Cubans, at the weigh-in yesterday. You box in those international tournaments, you see people from a distance, but you see them a lot, and so when you see them kind of more out of context, there's that knowing nod between everybody.
Absolutely, that nod, you know, that gladiatorial respect that they all have between each other. And I'll tell you what, those body shots are slamming in the game there, and he's feeling the weight those. He can't even keep his arms up, and that will be because he'll be in excruciating pain. Those left hooks to the body in particular have been really, really effective, and you can see he's looking for it. Body shot again went in there.
40 seconds remaining in a round, and he's in a little bit of trouble here again on Dongani, I think.
He is. I mean, he's showing incredible heart, but trust me, he's in trouble. Smile that says it all.
A little bit of blood coming from the bottom lip there of Batyrgaziev, and that might just encourage Dongani slightly, who does land a couple there, and just when it looked again like he might be about to come apart, he's just dug in and managed to land a couple. He gets a hold of Batyrgaziev and makes it through to the end of the round, and that's what he's managed to do. There have been times where it's looked like the end might be relatively nigh, but he's just managed to fire up a combination, turn this man, get hold of him, and just get himself a few seconds, and if you're in good shape like he is, then that can be enough, can't it?
Mate, that's the experience that he shows, you know, that's why he's 33 and 6. You know, this is his 40th fight, he's a 40-fight veteran now, and you got to know how to get around the ring and, you know, how to manoeuvre your way through and not show when you're hurt, because trust me, he's been hurt to the body 10+ times to the body. I mean, badly hurt to the body. He's kept his, you know, he's kept his composure, hasn't shown any weakness, held it together. A couple of times we felt he's unraveling, and then, like you say, like, you know, give him 5-10 seconds, and he's back in the game. That's a sign of a good fighter, a solid fighter. But Batyrgaziev is one of those young men coming through. When I say young men, he's 32 years of age now. One of those men coming through that's waiting for that opportunity, and he needs to deliver on a platform like this to get noticed, and maybe this could be the start of something very, very good for him. Batyrgaziev, for me, way in front in this contest, not really telling the story because Dongani has boxed very, very well and lands a lovely uppercut there at the beginning of the 8th and final round.
It's just the way boxing's scored, isn't it? You can win a minute of every round and you'll lose every round. It's as simple as that. On that basis, you should win a third of it, but actually you get nothing, and it's very, very harsh in that sense. Good right hand there from Dongani.
Yeah, landed a couple of nice shots here. And Batyrgaziev has to be careful he doesn't switch off, take the foot off the pedal. Because Dongani is one of those fighters that doesn't give up hope, doesn't lose his spirit at all. And look at him here, trying to push, even in this 8th round, and really giving it everything here. Impressive stuff here from Dongani, who's probably having the best spell of the contest so far.
He is, this opening minute of round number 8. He's done some good body work. He's got his feet nice and close, dug those toes in, and unleashed some damaging-looking shots, but there's a solid right hand high on the head from Batyrgaziev, who maybe is feeling like if he just rides out this first minute from Dongani, then how long can he really keep this going for, is maybe what he's got in his mind. And Dongani's mouth just hanging open a little bit here, midway through the round.
I was going to say, look how quickly the body language has changed around, and now it's in Dongani's time now to try and weather the storm. It's been an excellent 8th round, this one, an excellent contest, to be fair. Batyrgaziev trying to finish in style, trying to get the job done inside the distance. He'll recognise, he can see the finish flag now.
So inside the final minute of the round, Dongani just switches southpaw, anything really just to try and confuse his man, to buy a little bit of time. Again, just sitting in those ropes. working that lead, left hand, pulling his weight onto the back foot and just making that jab of Batyrgaziev's fall slightly short.
Yeah, good finish to the 8th round here from Batyrgazev. Oh, body shot slams in again. I felt the weight of that one down here. It was right above us in the commentary position. And Ndongaini shakes his head, and I think that he'll be thinking right now, where is that bell? Can't come soon enough. 20 seconds left in this 8th and final round. And what a fight it's been, what a contest it's been. Yeah, apologies, 10th round, but what a quality it's been up till now.
So there goes the bell and a touch of gloves between the two.
See, that was the confusion there. The boxers themselves thought it was 8. It was written down as 8 on my score sheet, hence why I thought it was 8. And I've got to say, I don't know if that changed mid-fight, that, because...
It did change mid-fight, but originally it was down as an 8-rounder, so I can understand the confusion there between these two. And Ndongaini seemed to think it might be over at the end of that 8th round, but when it was announced at the start of the fight, it was announced as a 10-rounder. Batyrgazev didn't seem too confused by that. And probably some wishful thinking on Ndongaini's part, to be honest, that they could go back to the original agreement and have an 8-rounder, because these last 2 rounds are going to be tough for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ndongaini, I think he was giving it everything in that 8th round. You saw he rolled the dice for everything and the kitchen sink in that 8th and final round. And that may have been the one that turns it for him. So I think he truly thought that was the end of the contest there. And that's going to be difficult for him psychologically to pull himself out of that, because he left a lot in that 8th round there.
So 2 to go. Batyrgazev in the white and Ndongaini in the black. It's been a good fight to watch. And as Spencer's been saying, Ndongaini has put plenty into this. It's not like he hasn't had spells of success, because he has. He's thrown plenty, he's landed some good shots, but it's just that the weightier, more spiteful, more telling punches in every round, really, you would probably say, has come from Hovhannes Batyrgazev. A couple of times when it's looked like he might be able to put his man down or put him away, and Ndongaini has rallied very impressively, a couple to the body there and then a left hook up to the head.
Yeah, lovely work, wasn't it? Good left hook back there from Ndongaini, but the eye-catching stuff really coming from Batyrgazev there as he switched the attacks to head and body. And as I say, he's an experienced guy, and Ndongaini, and he's going to need to use all that experience here, because when you think the fight's over and you think it's done and you're told it's to go another 2 rounds, that's a psychological thing that's difficult to get your head around, but he seems to have got his head around it. And he's got himself back into this one. I mean, great little contest, this.
Ndongaini unhappy about something there. I think maybe a little bit of a use of the head, or what he saw is that a stabbing left to the body, and then he looked for his left, and a right came back from Batyrgazev.
Yep, the left hook seemed to do a bit of damage there as well. Right hand sends the head back.
Very solid left hook again there from Batyrgazev, and another right, and this time Ndongaini does go down. There's well over a minute remaining in the round, and the towel comes in from the corner. The towel comes in from the corner. The referee hasn't seen it, I don't think, but he got back up on probably about 9.5, and then the referee waited over anyway. That's a good call from the corner to stop it at that point, because all that awaited him was another 4.5 minutes of the same, probably worse, because he was feeling the effects. And as you say, it was originally scheduled for 8, it was extended to 10. He's taken it at short notice, and when you combine all of those things and all the effort he'd already given us, we were getting to the point where I was thinking to myself as a neutral, I'd love to see him make it to the final bell, but only if he can just find a way not to take too much more stick, and then he was on the receiving end.
I'm not going to lie, when that 8th bell went and I saw them hugging in the middle of the ring, I thought, I knew what was going through Ndongaini's head there. He's thinking, I've done it, I made it to the end, I've come in as a substitute, I've saved the fight, you know. Batyrgazev's a world-ranked amateur, you know, and doing very, very well as a pro. Maybe the chairman of the Who Needs Him, Who Wants Him club at the moment. That 8 bell rings, and you're told you got another 2. Trust me, speaking as an ex-fighter, that is soul-destroying, right? And for him to come out and still deliver and still crack on, and then come apart the way that he did, I think he was glad the referee reached that count of 10.
The beauty and style queen of the world. She's amazing, Naomi Campbell.
So Naomi Campbell gracefully slides through the ropes.
Professional Boxing Federation president and member of the board of directors of
And along with the president of the Armenian Boxing Federation. In fairness, no one's looking at him, are they? No disrespect to the man, but everybody's looking at Naomi Campbell.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's have it right. Naomi Campbell's the last person you're going to expect to see here in Istanbul at this boxing show, but there she is. I mean, I was blown away. It was a pinch yourself moment when we saw her, when I heard she was here yesterday, and yeah, what an addition.
And that was a really entertaining fight. And Dongani did himself proud there, gave a really good account of himself. And we saw what we normally see from Batyrgaziev, and that was, again, a good, solid 8.5 rounds he's got under his belt there. And he needs to get as active as he can, because no one's giving someone like him a voluntary. He's going to have to work his way up the rankings.
But is that fair to say that the IBA, that's what they're about, giving these opportunity?
1 minute and 46 seconds of round number 9. Your winner by technical knockout, still undefeated, and the new Continental and IBA.PRO Intercontinental Super Lightweight Champion, Bout. Is representing legendary Golden Ring Club Dubai, IBA.PRO.
It's not easy to get those belts on fighters when there's more than one, because they are deceptively heavy. If you've never picked up one of those, you wouldn't quite believe how heavy they are. If you see a picture of a fighter who's undisputed, trying to hold 4 belts in a press conference, you don't want to leave them doing it for too long, but actually it's a lot harder than it looks.
Absolutely they are. They've got a bit of weight on them, and when they've been through what they've just been through, yeah, you want that photo overdone quick and soon rather than later.
В первую очередь хочу поблагодарить мистера Кремлева за возможность показать себя в твоем шоу и мистер Сеси. Thank you very much. Да. Приветствую всем участвующим и тех, кто не успел приехать, но они болеют за нас из разных континентов. Хочу поблагодарить своих спонсоров Golden Boxing Ring в Дубае, которые все делают, чтобы спортсмены не тренировались и готовились на 100%. Спасибо Epic Nutrition, добавкам спортивным, что помогает себя чувствовать во время тренировок и до. Хочу спасибо сказать в Дубае Авакар, компании, которая предоставляет всем машины качественные. И благодарить всех этих чемпионов, кто пришел сюда. Ваша лупака будет есть в моем победе. Это мне вдохновило. И хочу обязательно поблагодарить мистера президента Федерации бокса Армении, что пришел сюда поддерживать меня и свою команду. Хочу поблагодарить своим тренерам Самвела, Алберта и всю команду Гол. Всех. И слава Богу, спасибо за все.
And we're going to be treated to some highlights from that contest. So really, you could pick out any spells, any sections from any of those 8.5 rounds that we saw, because it was really entertaining stuff. Batyrgaziev bringing that front foot pressure and Donganey trying to find a way to cope with it, which he did for most of the fight, but there were just those spells where Batyrgaziev managed to get on top of him, but he never completely unraveled. He did get the stoppage in the end, but he got back to his feet, and Donganey, he did beat the count. He finished the fight on his feet. The towel had come in, and he showed a lot of ability and a lot of pride. Having seen Batyrgaziev probably for the first time from ringside, Spencer, what do you make of him? How far do you think he can go?
I like him. I think that he's got a lot of talent, and I would love to see him. You know, you're talking about the likes of Dalton Smith, you look at those sort of styles, and that's the sort of style that comes to mind when I'm watching Batyrgaziev, and you just go, this kid, you know, with the right opportunity, could be a problem. You know, he's got great shot selection, he controls the space very well, got the short game's very good, you know, and yeah, look at that work. Lovely shot. Like I say, the unpredictability wins, and although he's a walk-forward fighter with his hands held high, he puts the shots together, punches in bunches. There's a lot to like about him, and you think that with consistency and you know, and regular bouts, that he could be a force in the super lightweight division for sure. I liked it. I liked what I saw. Donganey, sorry, I really enjoyed. I liked him. He showed a lot of character, and I get where he unravelled there in that 9th round, because I know what happened to him walking back after that 8th round. He thought the fight was done. He'd blown a gasket. He'd left it all in there. That's all he had left. And I get how he unravelled there in that 9th round, but yeah, he was good. It was a good performance overall, and I thought a lot of Batyrgaziev, and I think he's got a bright future. I think that let's hope this kid gets the right opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the co-main event of the evening. IBA.PRO presenting 3 2-minute rounds in 77 kilograms division. And first, welcome to the black corner from the United States of America, Will the KO Show!
So as our announcer said, this is another bare knuckle contest. It's 77 kilos, 3 2-minute rounds. And this is Will Show, 34 years old from the USA, a much-travelled fighter, has competed in MMA and also in pro boxing, where he holds a record of 4 wins, 3 defeats, and 1 draw. He competed in bare knuckle in Moscow a few years ago now, back in 2022. Lost that fight, but won his last one in April.
From Istanbul, Murat Lord Kazgan.
Murat Kazgan, 39 years old now. 1 win and 1 defeat. A bare knuckle, a win in January 2023, and then later that year, in the November, he lost. Both of those were by stoppage. Experience as an MMA fighter as well. He lives in Russia these days, and he's actually fighting as a pro in any code in Turkey for the first time.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing to first fighting out of the black corner. He's 34 years old, standing 194 centimeters tall, weighing in at 79.5 kilograms. His professional MMA record, 42 victories, 23 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, he's ISK Borneo K1 middleweight champion, URCC MMA welterweight champion, UFC veteran, and he has more than 100 professional fights. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Sacramento, California, United States of America, here is
And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing out of an old corner, 39 years old, 176 centimeters tall, 79.5 kilo. 1 win, 1 loss, a BKFC fighter from Istanbul, Turkey,
Big reception for Kazgan. He's the home guy, of course. Boxing in the white, in the black. We have Will Chope. 3 2-minute rounds. Bare knuckle.
Hold the rules, protect yourself all the time. Okay? Good luck.
Then after this, we've got the main event, Batyrgaziev against Jazza Dickens. Just barreling forward there, Kazgan looking to get after Chope very, very early on. They're looking for the right hand over the top. Chope just trying to get a hold of him and find a space for that uppercut on the inside, holding around the back of the head there with his left hand, Chope, and being allowed to do so by the referee. And Kazgan has just gone right at him like a pit bull right from the first bell here, and Chope has got to try and find a way to cope with this. The right hand just throwing himself off his feet there from Kazgan. A bit of scuffing and marking up on the forehead there of Chope, and he was rushed there, wasn't he? That's the way to describe it.
He certainly was, and that was the right tactics there from Chope. He's got a lack of height here, and he needs to get inside and work those shots, and he's landed them hooks on the inside very well there. Sorry, Kazgan, that's what he needs to do, Kazgan, sorry. Chope, he's very tall and he needs to keep it at range, but Kazgan got the tactics right there by getting on the inside.
But there's some blood coming from a cut there, I think, just above the eyebrow, left of centre in the forehead. There might be something on the inside of the bridge of the nose as well. It's kind of hard to tell. That blood will be going into the eye, but he's full of aggression here, Kazgan. Chope, taller, leaner, wirier, just backing up to the ropes. If he's going to do this, and he's going to have to catch Kazgan with something solid as he's on the way in.
Well, Chope just missed with a wild, long left hook there, and he's got long levers. There would have been some power in that shot as he's pinned in the corner above us here. Blood pouring down the face of Kazgan. And I'll tell you what, Andy, we'll do well to see 3 rounds of this, I'm sure, at this pace anyway.
Well, the pace has dipped, hasn't it, quite noticeably in the last minute of the round, in the second minute of the round, particularly in this last 30 seconds or so. Kazgan put so much into that at the start of the round, and the blood transferred there onto the face of Chope as the bell goes to the end of round 1. Well, it was an explosive start, to say the least.
Yeah, there was a big effort there from Kazgan. Yes, he did slow down towards the end of the round, but Chope had his moments in there on the inside as well, but both guys looking marked up, both guys cut. Kazgan, for me, doing enough in that first half of the round to take the round. And it's going to be interesting to see if we can get through this round 2 or what the tactics are going to be. For me, I think Kazgan's going to go all in again. That's what I think he's going to go all in with the tips here and just try and get the knockout. And he's got to be careful because Chope's one of those guys who's got those long levers, and if he catches you one of them shots, it could be curtains. So interesting contest, all to fight for here, going into this second round.
Very different kind of contest to the first bare knuckle fight that we watched as well, where they stood off each other and looked to really box and pick their punches. They were quite circumspect a lot of the time. Kazgan, well, circumspect is not a word that you would really associate with him. In that first round, he came flying out of the traps, but the start of the second here, he took a little bit of a backward step and had a look, and now he's just straight onto that front foot. A right hand landed, I think, and Chope looked touch unsteady there for a second.
I tell you what, Chope looks dangerous though when he lets those hooks go, and both guys are going for it here. They're going for it. Someone is going to get caught.
A left hand, I think, landed on the inside there from Kazgan. You can see what Chope's doing. He's backing up and he's
He's just
backing himself to try and catch Kazgan on the way in. I wonder whether he shouldn't try and be first a bit more.
Well, I think he's just trying to create that space, isn't he? He knows Kazgan's coming in straight lines. He's trying to lean back and just get the timing right with that hook, but he's just missing that timing at the moment. Kazgan is more effective, though, when he's on the inside, when he has that relentless pressure. He needs to be able to continue doing that. Big right hand there, and I tell you what, Chope felt that one.
Took it well enough, just managed to ride it slightly, I think, just pulling his weight onto the back foot. Not as much has happened in the second round as we saw in the first. It's not been quite as helter-skelter. And there's a left to lands from Chope as Kazgan does come forward. And Kazgan, as he tires, if he comes forward like that, squaring up in the way that he does, then Chope is going to get more into this.
He absolutely is, because Kazgan's dropping those hands, he's moving back in straight lines, and that could be disastrous for him if he doesn't get those hands up or stay focused, because you see a swing in the pattern here. Chope starting to fight, fancy this, and as I say that, Kazgan comes back with a lovely 2 right hands.
Well, he summoned something up there, didn't he, right at the end of the round. I think Chope had an opportunity there, maybe, if he had just put his foot down a touch, that Kazgan was there to be hit. I don't think either one of these two has got loads left heading into this third and final round. Kazgan definitely won round number 1. That second round was a tighter round, but a couple of big flurries from him has probably seen him win that round as well.
Yeah, very tight, that one. I think that Chope come back well towards the end of the round. He had his moments. Kazgan again showed a lot of character, didn't he? Could have gone his way. Listen, it could all be on this last round. It could be whoever wins this round and wins it comfortably comes out victorious, because Kazgan had a brilliant start in round 1. Chope found something from somewhere, come back, looking at both guys. They're battered and bruised in the corner. This could become as much a psychological battle as physical battle going into this third round now. But anything can happen, because as these guys tire, the hands drop, and it takes one shot to turn this on its head.
So into the third round. Myself, I thought Kazgan did enough in that second. Landed a few eye-catching shots with that right hand backing him up towards the corner, but there wasn't loads in it. So Spencer says this third round absolutely critical now, and who's really going to go looking for it first? On form so far, you would say it would be Kazgan, but I think Chope needs to try and get on the front foot here a bit more. Good jab there from Kazgan as Chope came in. We've not seen much of that from him.
No, Chope, I think he recognises home advantage may not go his way here, and he's going to have to push for this, and he's got to go and rip this fight away from his opponent, who's a local and the crowd favourite in here. And Chope is fighting now like a guy that knows he's coming from behind, and he needs something big in this third round.
Just over a minute remaining. Barrels in behind a big swinging overhand right there. Kazgan didn't quite manage to land it. Chope just looking to get on the jab. That jab in this code can be so effective, because it can really stun your opponent. It's a decent enough shot in pro boxing, but a stiff jab in bare knuckle, it can buzz you. It can half put you out.
Oh, absolutely. That's where we've seen all the damage done in these bare knuckle fights tonight, is off that jab. In the first contest, we saw that the jab was the thing that inflicted all the damage, and it's been effective here. Well, both of these guys have had their moments with the jab. And again there, Kazgan, the smaller of the two, but effective with the jab. That's all down to the timing.
So closing stages, looks to climb in behind a left hook there. Kazgan didn't really land it. Can one of these two land something big in the time that we've got left here?
Well, do you know what? It's been one of those contests. It's been very, very entertaining. Both guys have had their successes, but I think that Murat Kazgan has done enough here.
I would agree with that as the bell goes. It's a pure aggression, I think, of Kazgan that's going to end up winning him that fight. The greater volume of meaty shots really came from him, but it was a good match. It was a good match between the pair of them. The way it started, it didn't look very likely that we'd get 6 minutes out of that, did it? But in the end, we did.
I'm not going to lie, the way it started, I didn't think we was going to get a minute out of it. That both guys went and locked horns straight at the opening of the bell, wanted to stamp their authority, show who was the governor in there, who was the one that was going to take control of the fight. But they both showed a lot of character. They both showed a lot of heart, grit, determination to stick in there. Brilliant contest. For me, the local man, Murat Kazgan, he's done enough to win, but Will Chope, he put in a great performance. He really did. It was entertaining. I mean, come on, give us your views on that one. Did you enjoy it?
It was a different kind of a fight from the first one. In the first one, they picked their punches more. You could see a bit more boxing ability, but you get different styles in all different codes. You get it in pro boxing as well. You get this kind of approach as we saw from Kazgan, where someone's had aggressive front foot fighters. So, again, you know, I thought it stood up to scrutiny pretty well. I quite enjoyed it. And watching Chope trying to find an answer to it was interesting, because you just knew that with the bare knuckle, if he could time him just once on the way in, then it could all be over. He couldn't quite get it done.
Ladies and gentlemen, after the end of action, your winner by unanimous decision, Murat
So Kazgan gets it by unanimous decision. And he set the tempo early on, didn't he? The way that he came flying out of the traps in the first 40 seconds or so of the fight, he couldn't possibly keep that up. But at other intervals during the contest, when he needed a bit of a rally, he found one, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Showed a lot of character in there, and I really enjoyed that. I really did, you know. And the reason I asked you that question, did you enjoy it? Because this is so new to us, even though it's the same combat. You got one guy with gloves on and one fight without gloves on and one fight with gloves on, but they're doing the same combat. But it's two totally different things. And the reason I asked that is because I'm trying to watch it. I'm trying to get my head around it, seeing guys without the gloves on, because I've been so used to seeing them with gloves on. But the answer is, yeah, I think I do enjoy it, and I think there is definitely legs with that, because these guys put it all on the line.
Buraya gelen herkese çok teşekkür ederim. Türkiye'de yapılan ilk çıplak yer boks eldiveni. Bu eldivensiz yapılan ilk bare knuckle dövüşü. Çok güzel, burada olmaktan çok heyecanlıyım. Bu galibiyeti kızım Mia ve karım Yasmin'e armağan ediyorum. Ne mutlu Türk İbniye'ne.
Murat People Kazgan.
So just time for a few highlights of this one before we get to our main event. And just as you were talking there about the different kind of spectacle that it is, I think the shorter duration is absolutely crucial. The 2-minute rounds, I think, is absolutely right. I think in championship contests, it goes up to a maximum of 5 2-minute rounds. And that makes complete sense to me, because what you don't want with this code is for it to get really grueling and have two exhausted fighters in the 6th or 7th round with bare knuckle, because bad things can happen then.
IBA.PRO Maxim Chertykovtsev, President IBA President Umar Kremlov, Alciesta Seo IBA.PRO.
To me, I'm worth it. Baby, I'm worth it. I'm worth it. Give me, I'm worth it. Give it to me, I'm worth it. Baby, I'm worth it. I'm worth it. Give it to me, I'm worth it.
Okay, I tell her bring it back like she loves some.
And that was a moment of victory, a sweet moment for Kazgan boxing in front of a Turkish crowd for the first time, which is amazing really, given that he's 39. But our main event is now nearly upon us. Dignitaries being invited up to the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for the 7th and main event of the evening. World Champion IBA.PRO WBA 12-round match. Introducing in the black corner, from the United Kingdom, Jazza Dickens.
So making his way to the ring now, Jazza Dickens, 34 years old, 40 fights into a good career. He's been a British champion. He's fought at a very good level. I remember seeing him win a competition called the Golden Contract, where he beat Lee Wood on the way to the final, beat Ryan Walsh in the final, and scored some big wins, and had one in his last fight as well against Alpha Barrett that really got him back on track after a damaging defeat. So there is still plenty of life left in him yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, and now, welcome to the Gold Corner from Russia, the champion, Batyrgaziev!
Так было в России с далеких времен. Чем выше давление, тем крепче бетон.
Albert Batyrgaziev, I think it's fair to say, a little bit of a chosen one when it comes to IBA boxing, because he's been an IBA boxer in various codes for a long time now, an Olympic gold medalist in Tokyo at featherweight. I saw him box outdoors at Bout last year against John O'Carroll, and after a little bit of an interesting start, shall we say, he turned in a very good performance that night. There are some frailties there. He's touched down 3 times in his career so far. He has a tendency to go all-out attack and walk onto the odd shot that he doesn't really see.
Ladies and gentlemen,
but he's a very good technician.
2 national anthems for the boxers. And first, national anthem of England. And now, national anthem of the Russian Federation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Soyuz Promotion, IBA.PRO, with the support of the International Boxing Association, proud to present the main event of the evening. ABA Champions Night. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBA World Interim and IBA.PRO Diamond Super Featherweight Championship of the World. Sanctioned by World Boxing Association President Gilberto Jesus Mendoza and IBA President Umar Kremlov. Supervisor, WBA, from Spain, Carlos Chavez. Supervisor, IBA.PRO, from Russia, Maxim Chertykovtsev. 3 judges at ringside scoring this main event championship bout. From Panama, Octavio Rodriguez. From France, Stéphane Nicole. From Italy, Luigi Boscarelli, your timekeeper. From Turkmenistan, Serdar Hamraev. And while the bell rings, your referee in charge, from Panama, Gustavo Padilla. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, and the millions boxing fans around the world, live from Turkey, the main event of the evening championship bout.
Fighting out of the black corner, 34 years old, 165 centimeters tall, 58.8 kilograms, with 34 wins, 5 losses, 14 KOs. From the United Kingdom, representing legendary Golden Ring Club Dubai, the challenger, James Dixon!
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing his opponent, fighting out of the gold corner, the champion, wearing black tonight. He's 27 years old, standing 169 centimeters tall, weighing 58.8 kilograms. His professional record, 12 victories, no losses, 8 big wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Tokyo Olympic Games champion and the reigning and defending undefeated WBA interim and IBA.PRO Super Featherweight champion of the world, representing Nizhny Russia. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Alper Alpha Batyrgaziev.
Okay, gentlemen, don't forget my instruction, okay? Check the glove and good luck. Check the glove.
So we're set for 12 rounds here for the IBA World and WBA Interim Super Featherweight titles. Batyrgaziev won that WBA Interim in that fight I mentioned against John O'Carroll, where he was put down early on. It wasn't given by the referee, but he did touch down. And then he picked up the IBA.PRO title in Moscow in March against Neri Romero, a fight in which he did have some problems, as I mentioned, on the ring walk. In the 3rd round, he touched down a couple of times, very nearly a 3rd time. He was banging trouble, but he kept coming forward. And then in the 4th round, put his opponent down, started the round really, really strong, then had a point immediately deducted for hitting him when he was down. So it was certainly a very eventful start to the fight. He ran out a clear winner on the cards. And we've got a southpaw up against a southpaw here. And you would say that Dickens is the toughest test of Batyrgaziev's pro career so far when you look at where he's been, who he's been in with, and some of the notable wins that he has had. Batyrgaziev, of course, with the terrific pedigree of an Olympic gold medal, and he does have some serious backing, but I do think, and have done right since it was made, that this could be a very interesting fight.
Absolutely. Jazza Dickens is one of those guys that's sort of been there, seen it, done it, been around, coming off a good victory over Zelva Barrett last time out. And this is going to be the toughest test by far for Batyrgaziev. It's going to be a very tough night for him. He's an Olympic champion, but as you said there, Andy, he has been on the floor a couple of times. And if anyone will expose that, that is Jazza Dickens.
Looking for that big overhand left there, Batyrgaziev. And one thing that he does have is ridiculously long levers. It's something that makes people suited to be a fighter, but the wingspan on him is quite ridiculous, to be honest. He's got wide shoulders, but he's got decent balance and nice poise about him. But in Dickens, he's up against a decent technician who just got inside there for the 2nd time and managed to get that right hook off.
Yeah, good start here from Dickens, who's controlling that centre of the ring well, and he's found the range with his jab early here. Good head movement as well. And he'll be very pleased with his start at the moment, Dickens.
Batyrgaziev just looking to take one to the body there. Long left hand looking for that rib cage.
Working well again off the jab there, Dickens. Doubling up, trebling up on that shot. Batyrgaziev is got to get off first with his shots here. He's stalking forward, but he's not really throwing anything from any sort of significance. And the eye-catching stuff here coming from Jazza Dickens.
There was a good solid jab from Dickens. He's been nice and busy though, Batyrgaziev, in this opening round. They both have, just circling around and each other centering, and then Dickens just looking for that left arm over the top himself, just rolling it out like a javelin. Threatening to do the same thing again. The bell goes at the end of a good first round.
Yep, solid round there from Jazza Dickens, who got off with the shots well. He established the jab, took centre of the ring. Batyrgaziev was a guy that needed to get off with his shots first. He was spending too much time looking at Dickens, and Dickens made him pay for that. For me, won that opening round, won it quite comfortably. Behind that jab, doubling up, controlling the space. Good start there from the Englishman.
And he's got Albert Irapetian in his corner there, Dickens, which is interesting because he called the John O'Carroll against Batyrgaziev in Serpukhov last year, and he will have learned a lot. Carroll came out of the gate really quick in that fight. The noises he was making before the fight was he wanted to drag him into deep waters, this Olympian, this untested golden boy, and see if he could swim. And that's the approach he took, and he did make some inroads early on, but then as the fight progressed, he got picked off and broken down. And in the end, it was a good win for Batyrgaziev, but Albert Irapetian had an extremely good view of that. So into round two, Batyrgaziev in the black, Dickens in the red and black.
Batyrgaziev needs to get off first with that jab. He needs to start establishing something now, because Dickens is in comfort zone. He's holding the ground there. That's where he likes to be. The size looks to be with Dickens as well. He looks sort of weight division bigger up there in there at the moment, doesn't he? And Batyrgaziev will struggle with that in the later rounds, I would imagine.
Right hand just got through there from Dickens. Batyrgaziev just trying to lance with that long lead right hand, trying to use that jab. And then turn that left hand over slightly. He didn't really get close enough.
Good defense there from Batyrgaziev, keeping the hands up well. Dickens trying to create that opening, trying to find something. Batyrgaziev now trying to punch, match him for punch output there as well.
Dickens doing a good job of getting nice and low, trying to throw that left hand underneath. Batyrgaziev trying to just fire out that straight 1-2, then looks for the left hand into the body himself. Good jab there from Dickens, just caused Batyrgaziev to be knocked off balance slightly.
Yeah,
strength there from Dickens, the referee having a slight word, but he just shrugged off with the shoulder, with the elbow, just showing Batyrgaziev that if anyone's going to be pushing anyone around, it's going to be him.
Yep, as I said, Dickens looks like he has that physical advantage, the size. He certainly looks much better and bigger than Batyrgaziev, and stronger as well. And that was a nice little shot over the top there from Dickens, who's using that physical approach on him at the moment.
He's bringing good heat here, Dickens. That was a good solid jab again there. And Batyrgaziev, as I said at the start, he is not backwards and coming forwards. He likes to mix it, but this is turning into not quite a grueler already, but this is the kind of fight that Dickens wants. That's what he said in the build-up to this. You can't always listen to what fighters say in the build-up, but he is looking to bring the pressure and turn this into a hard fight, up close and personal.
Yep, Batyrgaziev is pushing forward here, but there's no real thought process around what he's doing. His hands are held high, he's working the body, going to the head, but he's sitting in the pocket, getting too greedy, and allowing Dickens to get off with a more eye-catching, effective shots.
Again, another good stiff jab there from Dickens. Batyrgaziev looks to try and work the body, but He just looks like the boss in there at the minute, Dickens. He's the one who's manoeuvring Batyrgaziev around rather than the other way around. The Russian, though, just looking for a big left hand over the top, didn't land it, and Dickens gets a flurry away, a nod between the two rounds down. Tyson Fury looking on.
Yep, he'll be enjoying this one. Tyson Fury, Jazza Dickens, for me, taking those first 2 rounds. Batyrgaziev needs to do something a little different, needs to put a little bit more venom in his punches, if you like. He's throwing the shots. There's no real thought process around what he's doing. He's not moving off the shots either. He's sitting in the pocket, for me, a little too long. And for an Olympic champion, you know, his boxing IQ will be quite high because you don't just go and get given Olympic titles. There's more to it than just a bit of pressure. So for an Olympic champion, you'd expect a little bit more from him. Jazza Dickens, great start from him. You know, he matched him punch for punch. Body shots were good, the little shots on the inside as well, and even towards the end there, Batyrgaziev, he tried to pick it up, but Dickens went with him.
So into the third, the bell goes, and Dickens immediately just trying to get off with that right hand. Again, that kind of distance where Dickens is looking to get forehead to forehead onto the shoulder as well and work up close. That is going to suit him more. He's nice and compact. He gets nice and low. Batyrgaziev trying to use those sharp hands on the inside, but for somebody who's got that lean, angular frame and those long arms, he doesn't really use that reach.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this is Dickens' fight, isn't it? He's the guy that's trying to force this. He's the guy that's trying to get Batyrgaziev to sit in the pocket and punch with him, because that's where he feels more comfortable. He feels physically the stronger of the two, hence why he's pushing Batyrgaziev back, and he landed a good left hook there as well.
And there was a right hand just before that just moved Batyrgaziev.
Sorry, the right hand.
Left hand into the body there from Batyrgaziev. Bang on the belt line. And as we were saying at the start, in terms of their professional records, Dickens is a lot more experienced. It's just whether he's now got to that point where, rather than being seasoned, he's a little bit shot-worn. But that win against Selfa Barrett would suggest otherwise. Batyrgaziev has just had the 12-pro contest. This is scheduled for 12. When it comes to going down the stretch, Dickens is a lot more experienced.
Yep.
Early days here, though. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
It is early days, but you can only go by your last performance. Coming off your last performance, you're only as good as your last performance. And Jazza Dickens put in one of his career best performances to beat Selfa Barrett last time out, would suggest that he's still got a lot in the tank. And from what we're seeing here against the Olympic champion, you know, he's doing really well here, and he's on a really good run. Left hook just went in, right hook went in as well. Impressive stuff, this.
Into the final minutes of round 3, and Dickens is making Batyrgaziev work very, very hard here. Batyrgaziev looking to try and reply, try and dig those body shots in. But the shape on Dickens is what's really working for him. He's nice and tight and compact. He's moving that upper body, not extravagantly, but he's moving it enough. And then just managing to get on top of Batyrgaziev.
Batyrgaziev is just fighting the wrong fight at the moment. He's sitting there with Jazza Dickens, who wants him there. He's trying to call him in there. He's using the physical advantages, and it's coming out on top here.
Good jab there from Batyrgaziev, that landed, and just finds a little bit more room for himself, and then Dickens closes that gap and throws that left hand. There's a cut in there, I think. That's maybe been opened up by that left hand from Dickens. I can see some blood on Dickens' shoulder as the two go forehead to forehead. Just seeing if I can get a look at either one of these two in the corner and see where that blood has come from.
Let's see if we can see it in slow motion there. Both guys trading blow for blow. Was that it? Was that where the damage was inflicted? I mean, they were both having their successes in that round. Batyrgaziev, for me, was the one that was on the back foot. Dickens was the stronger of the two, and maybe just stealing that round as well, Andy. I think that the physical advantages here are playing into Dickens' hands, because they're both fighting a similar fight, but Dickens looks the bigger and stronger of the two.
Well, the blood, I think, may be coming out of the end of the nose of Jazza Dickens. They've just got a Q-tip up the right nostril there, just soaking up that blood. I think there's a slight bit of scuffing on the forehead there of Batyrgaziev, but nothing too serious. As we head out for the start of round 4, Batyrgaziev just bouncing on the balls of his feet there, looking to get that foot movement going, trying to start this round a little bit quicker, a little bit snappier. The crowd trying to get behind him as well.
Good movement there from Jazza Dickens defensively. Good, just turning side on, slipping the shots, not under any pressure, using that shoulder roll there, and you see the little smirk on his face as well. He's in a comfortable space right now, Dickens. Batyrgaziev, he's a guy that needs to change things around, gets caught with a big right hook there as well.
Batyrgaziev in this round, though, just keeping things at slightly better distance. This will suit him a little bit more. He doesn't want to be right up close. That left hand just ricocheted through off the guard, and this is more his kind of a fight now, I would say. Dickens not in any particular discomfort, but where Batyrgaziev doesn't need to be is where he's been for the majority of that first 3 rounds, because when they're really tight on the inside, it's Dickens who does get the better of it. I think a bit of blood coming out of the nose of Batyrgaziev as well.
Yep, both starting to show the signs of war in there right now with these two. They've started a frantic pace. Dickens has had his moments, and you're right in what you say there. The changing of the distance.
Good left hand there from Dickens, solid left hand.
Oh, he's got him here.
And Batyrgaziev is all over the place here, and down he goes. The first punch did the damage. He somehow managed to stay up, and as he does, he is sprung straight back up to his feet. He would have been better going to a knee there, taking the 8 and really trying to compose himself, but he's sprung straight back up. Over a minute remaining in round 4, and Dickens will look to put the pressure on now. Another heavy left hand lands. Batyrgaziev needs to just try and get through this if he can. Dickens winging and missing with the right hand, and just letting those hands go. The legs look very unsteady here for Batyrgaziev as he backs into the ropes. He's 1 punch away here, Jazza Dickens, from putting his man away again and from very possibly winning the fight. Batyrgaziev is just trying to tuck up, but he's on the run here. 40 seconds remaining in the round. Strong, straight left hand from Dickens, and down goes Batyrgaziev again. And the balance has completely gone. They've got the towel in the hand, and they've thrown the towel in. The corner has thrown the towel in, and Jazza Dickens has pulled off an absolutely spectacular away win right from the start of the fight. He had a game plan. He took the centre of that ring. He imposed his game plan, and he put him down hard there, Spencer. There was such a long time remaining in the round. It seemed very unlikely that he would recover. He put him down for the second time, and the corner did the right thing because he had nothing left. What a win.
What a performance there from Jazza Dickens, 34 years of age. Self-apparent last time. This time, Batyrgaziev, the Olympic champion from Tokyo 2020, and he went in there and dismantled him. He fought his fight, sat in the pocket. Batyrgaziev, he fought the wrong fight there. He should never have been inside the way that he was, and Dickens, the execution of that finish was spot on. He landed a lovely right hook. You saw the legs go of Batyrgaziev, and he never allowed him to recover. He used that experience, jumped on him, worked the body, worked the head. The final shots, referee, by the way, done a good job in there, and the corner throwing the towel in as well. Excellent corner work, because sometimes the corner can be too brave. But what a win from Jazza Dickens. Well deserved. WBA interim champion, IBA world champion as well. What a moment, what a night. A long career, hard career, and he's getting his rewards.
Absolutely, absolutely. He got him going, I think, with the right hand, and then he followed it up. You could see the legs do a little dance, and he did well to stay up, Batyrgaziev, but then he got put down, and he sprang straight back up. I've seen him do it before. He would have been better off taking a knee, just having a look around, composing himself, straight back up, took the mandatory 8, and then Dickens was all over him. He looked like he might be able to ride it out, Batyrgaziev. He cannot fold his heart there. He was just trying to hang in there, but the writing was on the wall. It was an absolutely magnificent performance from Jazza Dickens.
He was showing bravery, Batyrgaziev, to try and hang in there, but you knew from that first knockdown it was a heavy one, Andy. When he got up, the legs were gone, and the referee, the stoppage was perfect.
The contest at 2 minutes and 26 seconds of round number 4. Your winner by knockout victory and the new WBA World Interim and IBA.PRO Taiwan Super Featherweight Champion of the World, James Jazza Dickens.
Well, this seemed a long way away back in summer 2023 when he got knocked out cold in the 10th round in Dubai, but he's come back since. That win against Alpha Barrett, he was out in the away corner that night. He was on the road again tonight, up against it. As I said, Batyrgaziev, the chosen one of IBA boxing, and I think that's a fair comment. An Olympic gold medalist, heavily backed, has shown really good ability, but Dickens was just too much for him. He was too experienced for him, he was too strong for him, and on the night he was too good for him.
Yep, I said it at the beginning of the contest, he looked a weight division above him. You could see the physical advantages that were in the favour of Jazza Dickens, and he delivered. The game plan was right, he went in there, his short game was really good on the inside, the uppercuts. Excuse me, the uppercuts on the inside, the body shots as well, and he was waiting for his time, he was being patient, and the execution was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for me, and all glory be to God. 100 fights, world champion, 2 dreams I had in my lifetime, so thank you to all my friends and family, and the management team who made it happen. What a night, thank you, Jesus.
James Jazza Dickens.
Well, he's been a great ambassador for boxing his whole career too, because you see how gracious he is in victory there. He's always been humble and gracious in victory. In defeat, he's taken everything that's come his way in his career with good humour, if you like. He's worked tremendously hard, and as you say, he's now really getting to rewards late in the career, and this is not over. He is back in the game at world level.
Absolutely, it's not over. 34 years of age, 40-fight veteran, and now that he's getting his just rewards. You know, he grafts hard, he puts the time in, there's a lot to his game, great little southpaw, good punch power, works well on the inside, like I say, his short game, mid game, long range game as well. He's all spot on, and he's coming into his own. You know, he really is, and I think that we've seen that in those last couple of performances. To beat an Olympic gold medalist in that manner, an undefeated one as well, is very, very impressive. Good luck to Jazza Dickens. There's big fights out there for him for sure. Can't wait to see him in the ring again.
Well, that closes out a memorable evening. This is where we've been, on the bank of the Bosphorus, the Golden Horn, Istanbul, one of the most famous, one of the most historic modern and ancient cities in the entire world. I've never been here for professional boxing before, but it's been a couple of days to remember. And what a win that was for Jazza Dickens. We hope you've enjoyed it. We will catch you again next time.
World, the time has come to push the button. World, the time has come to push the button. World, the time has come to push the button. World, my finger is on the button. My finger is on the button. My finger is on the button. Push the button. The time has come to